Hi guys, my name's Connor. I'm a science fiction, political, and philosophy nerd, a Marine Corps and law enforcement veteran, a never Trump Republican, and I love alternative media and schizophrenic online politics. The most recent drama has been how far left should we go if we're going to be building an anti-MAGA coalition. And it's seen a civil war between a bunch of liberal creators and a bunch of socialist creators and a bunch of social democrat creators. And we're basically talking about like, how should we conduct ourselves coming up to the midterms? Because it matters. Whether or not the anti-MAGA coalition beats Trump matters. And so if we're catering to a bunch of far left schizophrenics, there's a strong chance that we could lose. And so we're not interested in that, or at least I'm not interested in that. And so this is Destiny, the streamer Destiny, fighting one of his former orbiters, Pisco, who is an intelligent man, despite what other people say to the contrary. I think that Steven jumps in at 441. So I'm going to fast forward just a little bit. 441. And we'll take it from there. Sorry.
Act and work synergistically with the Vanguard for the purpose of getting Democrats to win in the midterms. And if that is...
Well, first of all, you say it's floating an idea, but I feel like it was just like a potential, like an imagine if, or hypothetically, but then immediately following that, he just said why it's impossible.
But not on the basis that these people are...
You're acting like he actually entertained the idea,
but,
like it's
but not on the basis
would have actually done.
Not on the basis that these people are communists or socialists. It's on the basis that they're the ones, the limiting factor. It's not him saying, well, it could never happen because of course we shouldn't work with these people because of course they're Marxist, Leninists, or socialists.
In fact, I believe
they're also fucking dishonest. Wait. Like the way he's dishonest, they're dishonest about. Well, I don't know about Bosch so much, but Hassan's dishonest about his fucking ideology.
So he didn't know about his ideology prior to November of last year. He thought he was just a regular God-fearing liberal capitalist like Ethan Klein did.
So, okay, so something's happening here, and I cannot fucking believe you idiots are fucking doing this. Absolute fucking retards.
Wait, what are we doing?
What you're doing is you're
True. This is Mantis, by the way. This is Tom Foolery's friend.
You're taking a situation where there was a hypothetical post about something, and you're like eliminating the possibility that maybe he also thought their ideologies are fucking retarded. Is that?
Yup. Thank you for saying the obvious thing, Mantis.
Is that possible?
That wasn't mentioned at all. First of all, it wasn't mentioned at all. Secondly,
not only is it possible, it's probable. You can collaborate with people whose ideas you think are stupid. I do it all the time.
It wasn't even a hypothetical. It was,
oh my God,
hey,
it wasn't mentioned. Wow, it wasn't mentioned in that one moment.
Could you ever work with them again? And he said the only thing stopping it is them, not him.
True, because he thinks it would be fire content for all involved. I've heard this line of argumentation before.
So do you think that he would? So, I see Destiny in the stream disagreements. Let's bring him on. Badoom.
Nice. I actually do like that they're starting to collaborate. By the way, which they don't have to be friends. I don't care if they're friends. I just want the dialogue to open back up. You know what I'm saying? Because Pisco, despite that debate, Pisco is a smart cookie. Pisco is capable of complex thought. Pisco is capable of interesting criticism. And so just because, he swept for socialists unknowingly, in my opinion, in a way that I don't like, doesn't mean that I don't think Pisco's a bad guy. I think he makes good content. Devil says, can we get some attaboys for Hutch for plowing the fields with which the content has flowed for the last 2 weeks? Absolutely. Every time Pisco is like, well, should we stop working with the Vanguard? I'm like, no, please keep working with the Vanguard. I want more content. Thank you, baby. Thank you. Slade says, why would we lose? Incompetence. Why would you lose in 2024? Stupidity. Coalition infighting. Weird self-criticism. Talking about gun control 60 days out from the election, alienating a lot of never Trump moderates. There's plenty of reasons why Democrats would lose. Now, you wouldn't lose the midterms, but you could have a weak midterm show out, which would be seen as the American public approving of Trump. So maybe we shouldn't do that. Hera Quinn says, good morning, all. Ready for the Cope Fest for the second time in 12 hours? Yes, I am. Sapien says he's an intelligent and deeply flawed man. Aren't we all? Tallybot says, I watched this live. Very entertaining. Steven walks Pico into the most epic track towards the end about Pete Buttigieg and the leftists. If you guys don't like me using Democratic politicians' names to make like cringe dad jokes, then we're just not going to get along. So just deal with that.
What up, Steven? Hello?
Classic Mike.
Tom is fair.
Mic check.
Well,
What's up, dude?
All right.
hold on. I heard people were discussing me. What's going on here?
So the question is,
Hold up. Stop.
It's a debate by proxy, Stephen. It's a debate
your stream
by
on Twitch.
proxy. Everyone's
Drop your stream on Twitch.
oh shit.
Everyone else's mouth.
Hang on, I gotta kick you out. One sec.
Let me fast forward 1 minute for tech shit, because they have to stop the Twitch stream and they also have to do the, the warm up that everybody does during the stream.
All right. You wanted to talk. Oh, wait, let me unserver mute. Steven. Ogre, you want to talk?
No. We
Okay.
have a guest here. I mean, he came here. Let him talk.
Wait, isn't Ogre was the one that brought up the point? Let the Hassan tattoo dude say his piece. Wait,
Do you have a
what's the-
fucking
what's the
Hassan
point?
I
tattoo?
already said it.
Yeah, see, Ogreboy is one of the most obnoxious Hassan fans who has a Hassan tattoo.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So the point is the following, as I understand it, that there's this clip going around from after November where they're represented. You're floating synergistically working with Hassan and Vosh for the purpose of turning out the vote for Democrats. If that's the case, would you have a problem with us doing a
What's
similar?
the context of that clip? What am I talking about in that clip?
I'm not sure.
I'm just going to go ahead and preclude 10 minutes of the content. What Destiny was talking about in the clips that I've seen is that there are 3 extra large streamers in the left-wing space. It is Hassan Piker, Vosh, and Destiny. Destiny's specialty is debates, and so he doesn't have to be blood sports all the time. But in my opinion, he has annihilated and embarrassed Hassan and annihilated and embarrassed Vosh. So despite the fact that they could have spicy, contentious debates between the 3 of them and make fire content for all 3 audiences, Hassan and Vosh don't want to get owned. And so they stop debating Steven, which is bullshit. Now, you could say like, Steven's spicy, he's bloodthirsty, sometimes he's bad faith, he's a liar, he's this, he's that. But the truth is that the metrics would be out the ass for all 3. And not only could they do debate content that would be fire, but Steven could put on his kids' gloves so they could make collaborative content. But then they could also pull together for things that they're interested in. As much as Hassan is a massive, tanky, apologist piece of shit, he still thinks that Democrats, he still thinks that Democrats are better than Republicans when it comes to policy. He might think that they're particularly hypocritical pieces of shit that are preventing him from a socialist revolution, but he also thinks that they're not as bad in general, right? Then same thing with Vosh. Vosh is simultaneously more repulsive in personal conduct because of his lolicon consumption and because of his alleged DMing of minors saying, hey, when you're 18, send me your booby pics. But he's also a large figure that he could debate, that could also collaborate on supporting the Democrats as a lesser of 2 evils. So you can simultaneously have antagonistic content and you can have collaborative content. We don't have to agree on everything. We just have to agree on the fact that right now, MAGA is fucking up the country. And so voting for the lesser of 2 evils is preferable. That's it. That's all it is. And this is going to take like 10 minutes of our lives.
Wait. How long have you been talking about it?
He brought it up. I've seen what he brought up.
Well,
AKA Badasui says, probably don't put your campaign energy into 9-month abortions. Right.
people just told me that there was a conversation going on here, but how long has this conversation been going on about the clip?
It's about 15 minutes, maybe.
And you have no idea what the clip is about?
I see the guy, this guy, whatever his name is, Paul something. I've heard him on your stream before. I have no idea of the context, broader context. If there's something you want to clarify, I'm asking people to come on and clarify it.
Oh, okay. What's the... I don't know why you would ask other people to come on and clarify, but I'm guessing it probably came from a larger video. I don't usually do like 20-second videos, but it's possible I did. But my guess is probably
there's a
video.
There's a big stream,
clarify,
Paul's ego stream, and I'm usually this is disagreements. I'm bringing on people who want to take issue with how I present myself in the debate, and we brought an Ogreboy who's a communist. I was going to yell at him about being a communist, and he brought up this clip, and I'm asking people to, is this out of context? What's going on? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and I'm wondering about it.
Okay, sure. So I don't know what the. I don't know here. I don't care. I know because I've said this same thing 4 or 5 times. I think what I've said is some variation of it would be really cool if all the largest left-leaning content creators could do content together, but they can't because they're all literally brain broken on it. Hassan is too cloud obsessed to work with Vosh. Vosh is too brain broken and scared of debating me, so he won't debate me. And then Hassan won't work with Vosh because Hassan only goes upwards when it goes to clout. So as a result, all of your largest leftist content creators literally can't do any content together, as opposed to the right, where all of these guys are literally ass fucking each other in the White House now with Benny Johnson, the Russian paid dude, because that's how integrated their system is. And I said the people over here.
I wanted to bring this up. So I doubt Tim Pool's going to give a shit about this, but both times that I was on Tim Pool, Steven Crowder wrapped up his show on Rumble and raided Tim Pool. And then also, I think they got phone calls from Steven Crowder's team trying to coordinate some level of content. And Tim was openly talking about it, where he's like, yeah, I'm working with Crowder on this, blah, 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 blah. And so while I'm sure there's substantive differences between Tim Pool and Crowder. Crowder is probably infinitely more actually conservative than Tim Pool is. But because they know that they're pushing in the same direction, even though Tim Pool was accused of being a Russian shill, and even though Steven Crowder has been accused of abusing his wife, there's all sorts of personal reasons and professional reasons why these two people could come up with excuses not to work together. And yet they're like, okay, well, this is for the good of my political tribe. Therefore, we're going to set aside these political differences so we can all make money, so we can all get time, clout, and attention. And so rising tides raise all boats. And that's what pisses me off is no offense, lefties, but you guys are oftentimes crabs in a bucket. You ripping each other apart. Just as soon as one of you starts succeeding, you rip each other down. I have no idea what it is, but it's this totally counterproductive slave mentality bullshit where if one of you succeeds, it's well, only my guy can succeed. I have to rip down the other guy. Sabian Green for 100 DKK says, have you looked at the latest media disaster with Sydney Sweetie's apparently controversial ad? Truth be told, no, because woman with big boobs does commercial, ugly people mad is not something that I want to waste my time on. But that's the kind of thing where if you're a lefty woman and you're Sydney Sweeney said the word genes and as a play on words between genetics and the jeans that she's wearing in an ad, this is crypto Nazi shit. You're a fucking idiot and you're hurting the left. So shut the fuck up. I can say that because I'm center right, right? So I want the anti-MAGA coalition to beat MAGA. You are hurting the anti-MAGA coalition. Can I maximize the video? Sure can, because I don't think we're going to get copyright struck on this one. Getting a tattoo of a streamer is quite possibly the most cringe thing one can do. I agree. But apparently Ogreboy was in a depressive episode and on the verge of killing himself, and Hassan Piker helped him through the dark place. So he just got it as a token of surviving that dark time in his life. So if you bully him too much about it, then you're being really, 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 really mean. But Ogreboy is also so abrasive and rude and cringe that it actually doesn't matter how mean you are to him. Joshua Camp says, how does Vosh have a platform after some stuff like that? Because people don't care. Because he's more entertaining and more funny than all the other streamers. Anyways, Not So Gen X says, people keep talking about the print ad, but the real ad, people question a commercial where she talks about her jeans, but it's a dog whistle if you substitute jeans into it instead. Yeah, it's cringe and stupid, and it's a waste of time and energy.
Able to work together, right?
So but
earlier
overall,
I made the joke about you, and I heard you say this.
The roadblock isn't.
What?
The roadblock isn't you, though, correct?
There are a million different roadblocks, but it depends on what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Send Patty says we need more likers. Like the video, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. I parasocially love you.
If someone were to ask you flat out what the roadblock is between the three of you working together, and then you responded with, it's not me, it's them, and then you explain why it's them.
What do you mean by working together?
Synergistically working together And the afterthought
didn't add
was,
anything. Do you mean like doing debates on like Israel Palestine? Do you mean doing
What did you mean? What did you mean by synergistically?
what did you mean?
Well, literally doing any type of like content together would be a huge boost for viewership for all of us.
As opposed to
I think-
antagonistic, I take to be kind of contentious. Synergistic.
No,
What did you mean?
I'm saying even a debate can be antagonistic. Like
Okay.
antagonistic content can still garner views too. But usually when I'm bringing this up, the point is that these people literally
specified both to be clear.
viewership. What?
You specified both to be clear. You said antagonistic, but even synergistic. You gave both options on the table, and in that specific event, you said that the obstacle was not them, that it was you.
Okay, why don't you tell me what you think I meant?
I don't. I think he said the opposite. I think he said the problem was them. Like Hassan is so clout-brained and hates Destiny so much, he won't do collaborative debate content or synergistic content in order to support the Democrats. And then Vosh is so sick of getting stomped on in debates that he doesn't want to do the research necessary in order to actually give Destiny a run for his money. I'm pretty sure that's what he said.
Let's hear it. I'm curious.
I think I'm going to be polite and not actually think what I think the motivation behind it was, but ultimately I'm saying
no, wait,
wait,
wait, hold on,
reality where you're saying wait.
No, say what you mean.
There are no amounts of likes that will shade my beard. You could literally get me 1 million likes on a video. I need cash. I want money. Cash rules everything around me. All right, cream.
What do you mean? What do you mean? I'm going to be polite and hide my feelings like a little bitch. Just say what you mean. What do you mean?
Well, if you look at the timing on when you're saying this, I think you were kind of in a spot where you were desperate for as many associates as you possibly could.
What is this after the Pixie shit or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Have I ever said this comment before on stream?
Not to my knowledge.
I've said it like 4 or 5 times before. If you go and you could probably ask my chat, like, has Destiny ever said, wow, isn't it I've probably even said this on podcasts before, that it's crazy that all of the largest leftist content creators can't do content together.
So would you work synergistically in the future?
This has nothing to do with anything that we've talked about.
It may or may not.
It doesn't.
What?
So you saying that the roadblock is them and not you. As you said on your VOD that is still on your channel, what I linked in both Pisco's YouTube and in his fucking Twitch channel.
Ogreboy, let's assume that the reason why, okay,
there's no need for formality.
Let's assume that the reason why I was so desperate, okay, to escape, the rapist reputation or whatever, that I wanted to work with them.
Destiny must have been tired. He called himself a rapist. Baby Blasphemy says, I know he didn't. I'm just fucking around. Baby Blasphemy says, Destiny is saying they won't even appear in the same location together, which would increase everybody's views. Yeah, imagine if they didn't even talk, right? Like, imagine if PV, because PV was able to get Vosh and Destiny to work together towards the canvassing volunteering operations, but Vosh only did the Jamal Bowman thing. He didn't do the moderate Democrat shit, probably because he knew that some people in his audience would bitch. And then Steven did the moderate Democrat stuff and I think like a few ballot initiatives in Ohio. But imagine if there was an event, they don't even need to talk to each other. They just need to be at the same hotel for an hour where you have a convention setting where they do a speech, and let's say Hassan like throws his dick around because he's the biggest streamer. Okay, Hassan comes up, he does an AMA for 30 minutes, and then he stands by to the side for 30 minutes. Then Destiny does an AMA for 30 minutes, and then he stands by on the side, and they don't talk to each other. Then Vosh comes up and does an AMA for 30 minutes, and then he stands off to the side. And then let's say that you have all 3 streamers lined up at tables so they can take pictures and sign shit for like, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours, right? Now that might be a pain in the ass for the streamers, but if that was a canvassing event, Steven alone was able to pull 300 people. So Hassan might be able to pull, an extra 300. Vosh might be able to pull an extra 300. But then on top of that, through the cumulative effect of just having those 3 people in the same place. So if you're a fan of Vosh and Destiny, you can shake hands. Or if you're a fan of Hassan and Vosh, you can shake both their hands. You're probably going to add up to like 1,000 or 2,000 people in the same place at the same time. And you can convert a majority of those people if specifically the meet and greet is for a canvassing operation where you're expected to volunteer during the day. You could have 1,000 people door knocking in some random Rust Belt city just because these 3 people put their fucking differences aside. The problem is that they all have massive egos and they're all assholes and they all don't want to be embarrassed.
How would that even be an argument in your favor?
Because it shows that you were desperate and that you were nowhere near as
I've heard Steven saying this for years. So Ogreboy saying that this was necessary because of Steven's most recent drama is bullshit.
bitter, maybe like a spite-filled.
Why are
as
we
you
doing
are now
this?
towards seeing
hold on,
other
wait.
people
No, your argument,
growing and branching out and networking beyond accolades that you should be getting.
Hold on.
By the way,
growing
this
and
wasn't
branching
after the
out-
Pixie
Wait,
stuff.
stop, hold
You're
on, wait.
lying.
You think that my goal was to grow and branch out and that I was only doing this out of desperation? And if that's your assumption of my mind state, why would you take that as a foundation to build a good argument for building
That's an
collaboration within the
assumption.
future?
Wait,
Melody says, how much to shave? $350, and it has to be a single donation. We're not doing that by 5s and 10s.
Ultimately, I'm still saying that you're hypocritical because at the end of the day, you are taking a position on someone, a couple of someone's that you know full well about at that point in time. You knew anything and everything.
McDevin says, how much to dye your beard blue? I'll dye my beard red. And I'll do that seriously for like $100. And you can do that in like $5 increments. I don't give a shit.
Thing that you needed to know about Hassan in regards to how he talks about the Democrats and anything he has to say about terrorism. And at that point, you're saying it would be great for you guys all to work together synergistically.
Okay, so
if you're telling me that I'm reaching out at a point in time where I am compromised in some way, and then you're trying to say, aren't you being hypocritical? If that's your mind read of me, then the answer is probably yeah, right? Like, let's assume that I was addicted to crack cocaine and I went and stole some food from a store. Well, hold on, haven't you advocated in the past that people shouldn't steal? And when you were addicted to crack cocaine, you stole? Doesn't that make you a big like hypocrite? You're not.
Well, let's just let's put that aside. Let's put that aside. It's just like, what is the actual prescription? Would you be open to in the future working synergistically with Vosh and Hassan to promote the election of Democrats as your today position?
At this point, I'm not entirely sure, but it depends on what you mean by working synergistically.
What did you mean by working?
What do you mean by working synergistically?
Well, according to you, I was just desperate to do any
I'm
content.
trying to see what you
Generally,
mean.
when I talk about this, I would understand the particular video this is pulled from, but generally when I talk about this, I usually just remark at the irony that all of the largest leftist content creators cannot work together, and that's crazy to me. Do you have
Pisco's YouTube chat open? I'll drop the link in there so you can watch it yourself.
But I'm just
they are the roadblock when it comes to things like so Hassan is the roadblock when it comes to debating, obviously. Vosh is the roadblock when it comes to like debating and doing content together. Vosh is somebody I'm still kind of sort of on the fence on because I don't know where the fuck he's at with the whole whatever shit. But like the point when I'm generally making this is that like it's just crazy that none of the largest leftist content creators can work together. That's insane.
Okay, but excising them for the Nazis that they are, that's not an issue then.
When I say excising for the Nazis somebody is, when I say that, what I'm saying is that Nazis will deliberately hide their power level. They're not.
RageMate says, how much for a Hitler stash? Free.
Forthcoming with their beliefs, and they're usually trying to be subversive in whatever movements they enter.
So let's just get clarity.
Hassan's belief on November 30th of 2024.
Okay, because I'm not an idiot, I'm going to go ahead and explain this again because Ogreboy, I half expect him to show up in this fucking chat. I actually think Ogreboy has like 80 IQ. The whole point is that Hassan is, I'm just going to be real about it. Hassan's a fucking shitbag, okay? Hassan's a shitbag. He sweeps for terrorism. He sweeps for China. He sweeps for Russia. He says cringe shit all the time. He's a counterproductive force on the left, and yet he's still able to attract tens of thousands of young people to his audience because he's handsome, I guess. And he can recite geopolitical facts for 10 minutes at a time in something that approaches coherence. So somehow he's built a fucking audience. I don't understand how because the content doesn't appeal to me, but it appeals to other people. So the point is that while Hassan Piker is a tanky piece of shit, it's undeniable that he's on the left, and it's undeniable that he's popular. And so if you can leverage that to good ends, like voting for the lesser of two evils in general elections, or pursuing specific ballot initiatives, then you should leverage that. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't stop calling him a tanky piece of shit, because hopefully you can bully some of his audience away from Hassan's perspective. And maybe even one day, Hassan Piker will just wake up and it'll be like, whoa, I just woke up from a 20-year coma. It turns out that socialism is kind of like impractical in real life and communism is a pipe dream. We should all focus on making our current society better instead of endlessly bitching about being in an apocalyptic death cult of social communist apologia. And I'm actually going to become a heterosexual, monogamous, mildly socially conservative person, and I'm going to make the world a better place. That would be fucking awesome. Not going to happen, but we can pray, right? I get not everybody's going to like that, but that's what I want. Not So Gen X's, did everyone see the thumbnail photo on Wick's debate video? It's amazing. I wish I could attach it in chat. If you're talking about the AI thing where we're all like early 20th century barbers, yeah, I thought that was cool. Grassroots just unlocked a core memory of the Chappelle Show, Wu-Tang Financial. You need to diversify your bones. Yeah, I would use the N-word if I was allowed to. With an A, to be clear. And then also, what was it? You said something about if you think Sydney Sweeney's ugly, you're very dumb. If you think Sydney Sweeney is the most beautiful person in the world, you're very dumb. I agree with this 100%. Grassroots said that earlier. Sydney Sweeney's undeniably hot, but she basically has like a decent face and huge cans. That's what it is. She's not like, I would take 1 billion young Salma Hayeks before I would date Sydney Sweeney. Like, have you guys seen a young Salma Hayek? It's just crazy, like how physically attractive this woman is. Like, maybe I'm crazy, but Salma Hayek, right here, I would take 1 billion Salma Hayeks over Sydney Sweeney any day of the week. Like, you could ask me for 10,000 days in a row, do you want to date Salma Hayek or do you want to date Sydney Sweeney? And my answer is going to be Salma Hayek, right? But Sydney Sweeney, I'm not trying to be too gross. I'm not going to be like, she's got a cute face, right? She's got a cute face, but she's got crazy cans. So, yeah, she is not the most attractive person that I've ever seen in my life, but she's undeniably attractive, right? So, anyways, enough ogling. Let's go.
Do what?
You discovered Hassan's beliefs on November 30th of 2024. Because you said this on November 29th of 2024. So if he was hiding his power level and you found out the next day, I get it then, I guess.
Hold on. Let me ask you one more time. I don't know if you keep forgetting this. What kind of content did you think I was saying that I would do with Hassan? What, that I would go and campaign with him for socialism, or that I would do debate content with him?
I don't know.
Actually, you said both. You said get out the vote and you said debate content. You said antagonistic content and you said synergistic content.
Do you think that it would have been to go out?
The synergistic content would have just him being put on kids' gloves for a debate or conversation. I'm sure it still would have been antagonistic mildly for views.
And
view videos.
Do you think that it would have been to go out and promote socialism, socialist candidates? Or do you think it would have been to promote?
Wait, no.
Like,
does it matter?
Does it matter?
Does it matter?
Yes, it does matter.
Oh, wait, so I can work with the Vanguard, therefore, to get out the vote for Democrats, right?
Yes, you can, but if they use you, I used a very gendered, disgusting sexual term during our previous debate. I used the apologies in advance. Hopefully my mom's not listening. I used the term cock sleeve, okay, which is gross. I know it's a repulsive word. However, I think that in your mind is going to build the idea that these people are using you in a vulgar way to their own ends. And so Pisco, I'm going to say it for the 50th time. I don't give a shit if you talk to the Vanguard. I don't give a shit if you talk to Hassan Piker. I don't care if you talk to fucking Bad Empanada. But what I want you to do is that if there's a topic that comes up where you viciously disagree with them, then I want you to go in both barrels and say that you viciously disagree with them. That's it. That's all it is. You should be dragging the socialists and communists to your perspective. You should not be a vulgar, useful tool for them, and you should not get dragged in their direction. Easy explanation.
You're not working with the vanguard in the capacity to get on the vote for Democrats. You're working with them when they're actively shitting on the party.
No, but I take those videos, you know, the high performing videos.
Hadn't shit on the party on the end of November of last year.
So,
what is this going to be? Do I have to produce the clip on my fucking cell phone in bed?
No.
Like your mom's already pissed enough at me that I'm like rolled over, not talking to her right now. What do you want me to do? You want me to dig a clip out? You think Hassan was a huge fan of the Democratic Party in November of last year? Is that what you're saying, Ogreboy?
No, I don't think
I'm asking you if that's your opinion.
Okay, so Sabian says, how much did you want again to dye your beard blue? I don't want to dye it blue. I want to dye it red, and I would want $100. Okay, reason being that I'm assuming a decent dye kit is probably like 50, and then I want 50 so I can go eat some food. That isn't like chicken and rice. Like, listen, I love chicken rice. I love chicken and rice and hot sauce. I would eat chicken, rice, and hot sauce every single day of my life. However, every now and then I want a Five Guys cheeseburger, and I don't want to feel guilty about it. So if you say, hey, Connor, here's $100 in order to dye your beard red, then I'll go spend $50 on a dye kit, and it'll be like an obnoxious red. I actually thought about doing this before. It'll be an obnoxious red, and then I will also go get myself a Five Guys cheeseburger, a soda, and a milkshake. So
Opinion.
No, my opinion is Hassan's probably hated the Democrat Party for years. Generally, when I make this comment, my comment is it would be cool if like all.
Mark says, what I don't get is why Connor doesn't spend more time trying to grab people out of the middle who aren't monsters instead of the extreme far left and going to drive the middle away. Listen, Mark Goodhart, Adam something said that him and I could talk again. I don't know if that's true or not, but Sitch and Adam are the only people, they're the only center people that I actually think are center. Everybody else I think is bullshitting. Sargon's bullshitting. Shoe on Head's bullshitting. Chris Ray Gunn doesn't do anything anymore. I'm trying to think of who else. Who else is in the center, right? PF Young and Sitch and Adam are the only centrists who I actually think are centrists. I think everybody else is a contrarian grifter. I actually like, there might be another example that you could bring up, but I cannot think of another centrist creator who isn't, I'm going to use the term cocksleeve again, my apologies, who isn't a useful cocksleeve for MAGA. They don't exist. It's Sitch and Adam and PF Young and me. And by the way, Adam still swept for MAGA.
All of the leftist content creators could work together for the Democratic Party. There's a whole host of reasons why this isn't happening. None of this is getting you any closer to, should we appeal to socialists or communists who fucking hate Democrats in order to work with them?
No, but you wouldn't have a problem.
You wouldn't have to appeal to Hassan in order to work with him?
I would not know. If I have to appeal to socialist values to work with somebody, I'm not going to work with them. No.
So
do you think that's oh, okay, Pisco, sorry, it's your stream, go ahead.
I just want to ask, like, so if we're doing a get out the vote thing with the Vanguard, you don't have a problem with us working in that capacity. You don't have a problem with us, you know, even if I were to go on Hassan's stream to promote candidates for Democrats, if we're working synergistically for that specific end, as opposed to, you know, promoting socialism, you wouldn't have a problem with me, you know, going on the Vanguard to be like, hey guys, it's important to vote for Democrats, and working synergistically and building a relationship with them for that purpose.
In that capacity, probably not. I don't know if they would be interested in that, but I'm all, like, in that case, I'd probably be okay with you going to Nick Fuentes' stream in that capacity. Like, yeah, why would I not want anybody to promote the candidates?
So in what
True, dude. I'll talk to Fuentes. I'll talk to Cultured Thug. I'll talk to Keith Woods. I'll talk to what's another person? Lauren Southern. You know, literally Lauren Southern and I are internet friends as far as I know. I don't think we burned the bridge. Stefan Molyneux. I would talk to any of these people. But the truth is that if Stefan Molyneux, this is the difference. So Stefan Molyneux and I can have a casual conversation about the limits of libertarianism and what statism should actually do. And we can have a conciliatory conversation about that where we just debate our perspectives and we're not mean. But halfway through the conversation, if Stefan Molyneux is like, yeah, you know, and that's why we can't have a libertarian society because of black people's skull shapes. They have the warrior gene and they ruin civilized societies. Then I'm going to be like, hold up. Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right here. And then I'm going to fucking press him on his fucking race realist bullshit. So, you know, that's the problem, is that it seems like live and learn, and bear in mind I'm saying seems, it seems like they're hanging out with Aaron Straighterade, right? and they're not giving her a lot of shit for being a communist, and they're hanging out with the vanguard, and they're not giving them a lot of shit for being socialist. They're just having conversations about policy and how the Democrats are actually bad. Now, the criticism of the Democrats might be valid. That's not the point. The point is you're allowing them to use you for clout, influence, and money, and you're not pushing back on the things that actually matter in reference to them being a nefarious element in the left. That's the point. Anybody with an IQ above 80 understands that. And since there's 200 beautiful souls on my stream, and they all have 3,000 IQ and excellent taste in content, they all understand this instinctively.
Capacity, do you think that I failed in the Vanguard situation?
I'm not. It's not a hyper like you failed in this conversation. I failed in tons of conversations. The issue that I have is that
Anonymous chatter says Salma Hayek getting your clothes cut off in the Zorro movie changed me forever. I was a young lad, but that seeing made me into a man. Sir, that was not Salma Hayek. That is the other woman that that was the other woman that made me into a man that I would sell my souls for. It's funny, we already Googled this once before. Catherine Zeta-Jones. Yeah. So, you know, like Nick Fuentes and his ilk are like, you can't race mix with Hispanic people. And then like Catherine Zeta-Jones exists. And like, I get it. She might be more Spanish. I don't even know if she's Spanish, but she might be more Spanish than she is indigenous. But if she, yeah, I don't even need to say anything, bro. I don't even need to say anything. If you don't like this, you're gay. Okay. But it's just that simple. If you don't like Catherine Zeta-Jones in Zorro, you like dudes. Okay. And that's cool. You can like dudes. There's nothing wrong with liking dudes. Congratulations on liking dudes. But if you don't want to wife up Catherine Zeta-Jones from Zorro, you're gay.
Socialists and communists, the entire media apparatus that they built is like honed in on relentlessly shitting on the Democrats, and all of the media figures in the sphere do it. I don't know if you've watched or I don't even know what the fuck you think about it, but that Crystal Ball interview with the senator from Michigan was just unbelievable to me. And when I see this happening over
We should watch that at some point.
and over again, and then they're trying to build bridges to liberals. Never in my life have I ever seen a leftist talk about how we should do this, guys, so that like we can like
we should do this in order to appeal to liberals. And their example was Bernie Sanders having higher minimum wage and pro-marijuana policy, which, by the way, I do think that defeats Stephen's arguments that socialists never tried to appeal to liberals. But I think he's talking about in the media landscape. In the media landscape, leftists are smug, condescending freaks who, if you haven't read 10,000 hours of socialist philosophy, then you're a fascist piece of shit. So yeah, I think Stephen is wrong, but he's like 80% correct in the media landscape.
help the liberals more. Rarely they'll talk about being more mask on, which sounds subversive and is subversive. Like when Hassan was saying like we should use the Democrats as a weapon, but they don't ever seem interested in building a bridge towards us. So why would we build a bridge towards them when their goal is literally the eradication of our side?
What do you think Hassan wants to use the Democrats as a weapon to do? What's the end goal?
Socialism and communism, which, by the way, I'm going to explain real quick. Swoletariat sent me a 2-hour conversation. Jesus Christ, you guys went crazy. Jesus Christ. I don't even know how much 1,000 DKK is, but now I assume I have to do something. Let's talk about socialism first, though. Okay. I had to watch a 2-hour theory video that was okay, but the fact that I had to watch a 2-hour theory video made me want to blow my brains out. Okay. So in the 2-hour theory video, it talked about 19th century and 20th century socialism. And the only definition that I can think of that encapsulated all of the kinds of socialism is that there is the owner class, the bourgeois, and there is the working class, the proletariat. And the only thing that all these socialist movements had in common is that they were movements to emancipate the working class. And weirdly enough, social democracy actually kind of fell under that definition because it was trying to harness capitalism in order to maximally free the working class under a capitalist society. So social democracy actually is a 50-50 split on whether or not it's a socialist philosophy, okay? But communism was the communal ownership of all property. And so that, in my opinion, is socialism is the working class attempt to emancipate the working class, whereas communism is the end result. That's where you actually achieve a society that has abolished the class distinctions between the owners and the workers. But then you can use that as like a general vague definition, but it's so vague that it might as well be useless, right? Like, when I give a homeless guy $10, am I emancipating him for the day? Does that make me a socialist? No. I could give you another dozen examples, but I think you already understand what I'm saying. And so the point is, the reason why I will continue to use decommodification of basic human needs and workers owning the means of production is because I think that's what socialism means in a Marxist sense. And the reason why I will articulate moneyless, stateless, classless society as communism is because I think that is the goal of Marxist socialism. And so if you want to differentiate and say, oh, I'm a Scandinavian, or I actually prefer social democratic policies, or whatever, we can have that conversation. But I really, 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 really do not like the fucking word games, because I don't think the socialists are explaining socialism in order to clarify what's actually going on. I think they're using it as a word game to claim everything good that's ever happened in industrial society for workers is socialism, and everything bad that's ever happened to them is communism. It pisses me the fuck off. Now, I have to catch up with that super chat because that was huge. Beezus says, somebody please turn Connor into a ginger. Yeah, well, I think somebody worked on that. Ask at least $500. No, guys, stop. You have to understand that you are hurting Chud Logic right now. Okay. RageMate says Five Guys is mid. I will accept my ban like a warrior. I'm not going to ban you because the truth is In-N-Out is superior to Five Guys, but I don't have an In-N-Out in Florida yet. Otherwise, I'd be going to In-N-Out. I'm not shaving this shit, you psychos. Oh, although I guess for $3.50 I would shave the beard. Did you like the chat? Yes or no? Yes. RageMate says, I think Adam is bullshitting. Sitch is all right. Sitch is great. Hergeberg says PF is a retard. Yes, but he's my retard. Brandon Zero says, wait, you actually think Adam is actually in the center? Yeah, probably. He's one of those contrarian liberals. Are we apologizing every time we curse now? No, just when I say ableist slurs. And also racist slurs. Talibot says, I'm a centrist, but I did vote for Trump. Lol. Yeah. Say what you want about Shu, but she's been pretty consistent over the years. Yeah, she's a fucking horseshoe. She's a left-right horseshoe. Sabian says, this will probably be the only donation that large I ever make. I look forward to the annoying red beard. Thank you. Thank you, Sapien. Honestly, thank you. That's a huge donation. I don't even know what DKK is, but thank you. I will, if this is the equivalent of $100, or even if it's like $80, I will go get a die kit. So I'll have to check the currency. Anyways, thank you. Let's go.
I just want to hear from you.
Exclusively socialist and communist candidates.
Like what? Oh, exclusively socialist.
Yes.
Okay.
He doesn't like liberals, Ogreboy. I don't know why you're fucking.
Yeah, oh, no, we agree. We agree.
You think that he's a fan of liberal candidates?
He's not.
He's not.
Ogreboy, hello? Hey, hold on. Did your thing cut out? Ogreboy, do you think that he's a fan of liberal candidates? Do you think that Hassan would work to get liberal candidates elected?
He might as the lesser of two evils in a general election. I don't think Hassan would work for liberal candidates in a primary.
Actually, well, if we're being very specific, if as long as they had a decent position on Israel-Palestine, yes, he would.
I don't think so.
Name one.
There's one fucker that has been tweeting about it recently that he does mention during his streams. I can't think of his name right now.
Okay.
But I can. Wait, there is one.
Ogre. I want to focus in therefore on the criticisms of me and Live and Learn and what's going on here. So, our stated intent. You might think we're fucking stupid. You might think that we're like
That's the main thing, Pisco. Like, I'm being real. I've talked to Pisco recently, so the temperature has cooled down a little bit. But it's not that Pisco or Ogreboy are unintelligent. It's not that they don't understand very complex information. It's not that they're not insightful creators. I think they're useful idiots for people who are more nefarious than them. That is my actual criticism. You are being useful idiots for more nefarious characters.
Deranged or something, but our stated intent, to the extent that we're like building bridges, or to the extent that we're like having people on,
Penelope Cruz, yeah, she's fine too,
is to help Democrats, is to help elect them. And in that context, can you identify any criticism or prescription you have of me specifically?
Daggerung says, I'm missing work in order to hear Connor lose his shit on Pisco. That might not happen, bro. I think I understand.
I don't know how many times I can say this. The issue is not like, it's not one like word you could say or thing you could do, or it's the idea, this
Thank you, Fashion 40.
general approach. I guess it's possibly to dig through the VOD and look, but it's the general approach of befriending socialists who will relentlessly shit on the Democrats, and then like incorporating them. And when I say incorporate into the movement, what I mean is you're just attaching them as a leech to absorb whatever they can from us or from the
Real quick,
Democrats.
last year, when was the DNC convention? Wasn't it in the summer?
Yeah, who cares?
Right?
I don't know why.
I mean, that's before November when you said all this shit. So he said everything that he was going to say about Kamala at that point, right?
Why does that matter?
I don't know why.
Because you're saying if they're going to relentlessly shit on the Democrats, that's a deal breaker, yet you were talking about you would work with them.
In order to help elect Democrats, you dumbass. Dude, I hate the pedantry. I actually think it's like autism. My wife thinks I have autism, by the way, but that's just because I yap about really complex topics endlessly. But I think I have the social IQ to realize that I'm being annoying, and so I don't actually think I have autism. There are people in this space who actually translate words exclusively to be literally true. And then if there's a literally true statement that contradicts the original one, they're like, how is this possible? Is this magic? And no, it's not magic. You have autism. So to explain it, just in case members of my audience have autism, Steven is saying, if Hassan Piker and Vosh and I work together, not only could we make shitloads of cash and decent content and have combined viewership that's going to raise all boats, but when it came to politics and charities and fundraisers and volunteering organizations and canvassing operations, we could all push left-wing candidates and policies. Now, are we always going to agree on the candidates? Probably not. If Hassan wants to push a fucking tanky through, like a Marxist-Leninist representative in New York, then obviously Destiny is going to be like, that's too far left for me. I'm not going to do that. However, if there's a quote-unquote socialist who pushes social democrat policies, Steven, if it's a lesser of two, if it's between the social democrat and a fucking fascist, then Steven is going to pick the social democrat. This is actually like not hard to understand at all, but people have hella autism.
Are you really going to hang your hat on this one quote without even knowing like the context of where this quote came from?
You think I didn't watch the live stream?
Then tell me the context of the
Sorry. Well, QC John said Lance did more to further race IQ than any race realist when he tried to debate JF Gary Eppy on genetics. That's awesome.
quote. What am I even talking about in that video?
The person that you were having the convo with asked you what is stopping you from working with them again. You said that it isn't you because you talk about all the time about how the three of the biggest leftists, blah, 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 blah. And then you end up saying that the roadblock is entirely in their direction, not in yours.
And
So
what is
if
the
Shaved dog butt. Yes, DM me.
and what is the
if that's the
what
case,
is the-
that makes all of this current discourse really fucking stupid, because at the end of the day, it's something that you're trying to apply to other people and not to yourself.
Do you think there's a difference between working with somebody to promote a candidate after the primary is
Synergistically?
over? Do all the same colored crayons taste the same, or is there like a
Yeah.
difference in flavor between different colors?
Okay.
Believe it or not, they all taste the same.
Hold on. If somebody wants to come and work with somebody after the fucking primaries and shit are over, then like I think that's fundamentally a different type of question than working with somebody when we're not even.
When they had the Vanguard on, the primaries and shit were over, right? Like you were far enough in between any election whatsoever. So
sorry, this is a wildly important chat. Sorry for interrupting the content. Sarah Buckley says Salma Hayek from Dusk Till Dawn made me gay. Yup.
it really didn't matter, right?
Yeah, but then the question is, then what is the goal at that point? Like,
Pisco, what was the goal?
If Son wants to build a bridge with me or wants to do something with me, like 10 days before the election, at that point, honestly, I'll probably throw fucking anybody on stream.
I know, but these.
True. Political pragmatism, because we don't have autism. Ogreboy has autism.
These elections, you know, these election cycles.
For Ogreboy, I'm just saying for Ogreboy, right? But that's fundamentally different than like, what about like 100 days before like a primary or something, when their rhetoric has exclusively been centered around shitting on every single electable like centerless candidate. And at that point, no, it's probably going to be if I do any content, but it's probably going to be incredibly combative. Would be my guess.
Okay, but like these election cycles, they're pretty far out, Stephen, and you know, it's pretty.
Which is why we want to fight now. By the way, Stephen and I talked about this when I was hanging out with him in Miami. The reason why we want to fight the far left right now is because we're like a year and change out from midterms, so we don't want to show up to the fucking midterms and have all the lefties and tankies and socialists who are hiding their power level behind social democratic policies. We don't want to basically wake up a year from now and realize that they have totally annihilated the online alternative media sphere to the point that every person under the age of 40 is now a Marxist. That's why we're bitching about it now.
Pretty hard to like have these kinds of synergistic.
Oh, hold on. Typesman Mad says they need to make a new word for the soft socialism instead of LARPing as actual socialists. Yeah, it's just social democracy. That's all it is. Social democracy. It's capitalism where you vote in improvements for the working conditions to the point that workers can have dignified lives. That's social democracy. Now, you can say that's a stepping stone to socialism if you, in general, you're like a libertarian and you're hostile to any collective workers movement. Well, that's a totally different conversation than let's decommodify basic human needs, which means that you're creating a state so big that it can guarantee food, water, and shelter to every human being within the country. And then let's have workers owning the means of production, which means that the state enforces every private contract at the point of at a barrel of a gun that you have to share ownership of a private enterprise. The state required to implement socialism is so big that it's almost necessarily authoritarian. We can argue about that. Like a Counterpoint can say like, no, if we do it democratically, then it's all good. But I'm going to disagree with that.
Plays have any impact if there's not like a pre-existing structure for it. That's the whole criticism of like the Democratic Party is they don't have a structure for this. And so surely if you can recognize the utility in building alliances to Hassan and Vosh and the 10 days before the election, why wouldn't that also apply in the 2 years before the election?
If we both had
25 days after, but go ahead.
Let's assume, Ogreboy, get the 64 pack and go eat some more crayons, okay? Let's assume that we both had a gun to our heads, okay? Pisco, and we had to guess. If you Live and Learn and the Vanguard and two other whatever, you guys have equivalent size audiences. If you were to do highly collaborative content for
Dylan Thomas says, Connor, does Valor take a portion of the super chats? Yeah, I basically have to make my salary back because they pay me a monthly salary. And then after that, we have a revenue split. But that money is sufficient that I'm going to do it. Like I'm going to take I'm getting paid, or I think I got paid today, by the way. I will take the cash and I will go get the die kit based off of that donation.
6 months. Do you think that more of your guys' audience would be completely turned off from voting for establishment Dems, or do you think more of their audience would be completely turned on to voting for establishment Dems? Because I've only ever seen the flow work one way. This is why I said in our conversation 2 days ago or yesterday or whatever the fuck, where I was like, if the media environment was like half the socialists were kind of like supportive of the mainstream Dems and the other half were like relentlessly shitting on them, I'd be like, whatever, I'd feel differently about it. But I've only ever seen this pipeline, this flow go one way.
I think I want to give it a try. And the reason I want to give it a try is because like I said before, I think there's an evolutionary niche for these socialist people. They're going to exist no matter what. I can't make them not.
This is true too. This is good for Pisco. For Pisco to be a progressive who has like capitalist takes, to be the token liberal in far left spaces like Crystal Ball and Kyle Kulinski, which I know some people are going to argue that they're not that far left. But with Kyle Kulinski and Crystal Ball and with the Vanguard boys or whatever, there's a niche to be filled by a competent progressive / liberal who can duke it out in a friendly way. They're not going to want to work with Steven because he's too toxic. They're not going to want to work with me because I'm too far right. They'll work with Pisco because he is left enough to be acceptable, but right enough that they can fight. Pisco's in an excellent niche right now. A lot of people have been saying like, oh, Pisco's going to tank his career. Oh, he's fallen out of the DGG orbit. Oh, he's crashing out. He's doing this. He's doing that. I think Pisco's going to grow, man. Like, I could eat these words, but I think that trying to hybridize far left people and liberal policy into something consumable by a average Democrat, I think that's going to be like actually a pretty decent sweet spot. Melody says, Connor, if this Pisco talk with Destiny is after your conversation with him, I'm very disappointed at how much he came away with from it, seeing a lot of immature responses from him. Yeah, well, you got to understand, like, at least this is my perspective. Steven bullied the fuck out of him, right? Before the debate, during the debate, after the debate, etc. So Steven will say like, well, actually, no, I didn't really go that hard compared to how I go. And I think that that's actually correct. I think Steven could have gone harder. But you have to understand that every time that Pisco disagrees with Steven in an aggressive way, he probably gets half a dozen DM messages from random schizos telling him to kill himself. And so, you know, that's the nature of online politics. So he's in a pretty uncomfortable position where he thinks he's correct. He's fighting against people that were previously his allies. He has half a dozen DMs every day calling him stupid and telling him to kill himself. And so, yeah, he's going to be defensive, of course.
Exist anymore. And I think that I have seen, for example, Breaking Points become, and I don't say it's because of me, but I have seen it become criticized now for being more lefty as opposed to before. It was a right-wing show, and now it's highly critical of Trump. I think that there are ways to change minds, but it's hard to do when we try to do that, we get fucking accused of being sweepers for tankies and communists when you...
Because you don't know enough of the verbiage in order to fight them, Pisco. That's my objection. I knew plenty of the verbiage during our debate, and now I feel like I know even more because some random fucking socialist told me to read theory, and then I did.
Can't even identify a single criticism you have of the shit I did in the one interaction that started this whole thing.
Okay, so first of all, if you want the criticism, just go back and listen to what Hutch said, because he's the one who had all the initial criticisms. I basically agreed and amplified them. I agreed with everything that he said. I don't remember the exact the video. We could go over it, I guess. My issue is, again, to the broad what I'm saying is that the flow only works one way, where when you start associating, not you, but in general, when liberals and socialists associate, the goal of the socialists is always to extract as much from the liberal side as possible, and then to move away with as many people as they can steal. And that always seems to be the case. And then electorally, you can tell me if you agree or disagree, like, it feels like the issues that Biden was hurt the most on, and then eventually Kamala was hurt the most on, weren't these issues that we were too far theoretically to the left on anyway, like stuff like immigration or stuff like trans issues?
All right, sorry, I have an important not super chat, but a important chat to read. Are we just naming Spanish artists? None beat out Shakira. She truly makes me reconsider whether or not I'm gay or if I just find her magical. Based.
What even is the idea that if we would appeal more in that direction, we would have picked up more voters?
The Wall Street Journal ended up saying that Kamala's economic policy was muddled and that she fell flat on her face because of it. It goes beyond culture worship.
Okay, Ogreboy, with respect, I'm going to disconnect you just for a second. Thank you for bringing the clip to attention. Thank you. Mantis, you're still there, whatever. But
yes, let Pisco and Destiny fight, please.
I don't know, like, if you're saying it's hopeless to get these people in our orbit or to agree with us, if it's all a fucking useless cause, or that it can only do more harm, is it like, what is the prescription here? Like, what
the prescription is research their dog shit ideas so you know how to talk about them competently, and when they bring up a dog shit idea, fight them aggressively. That's like the whole thing, man. This is Twitch and YouTube politics. I get, by the way, my perspective is not popular. I understand that, all right? I understand there's not a lot of Bush era neoconservatives or Bush era Republicans or moderate fiscal conservatives or moderate social conservatives or Jordan Peterson types out there. I understand. I also understand that a shitload of those kinds of people became contrarians and they coped themselves into supporting MAGA and into supporting Trump. It's just me. I'm going to share this with you. This is actually kind of like a hot take in Republican circles. Having sex with 14-year-old prostitutes is bad. I didn't know if you guys knew that, but hanging out with a billionaire financier and then recruiting girls from the Midwest who are 14 and 15 years old in order to pay them thousands of dollars per day in order to hang out at your penthouse so you could have orgies with teenagers, that's bad and it's gross. And Donald Trump did that. Cheating on your pregnant wife, that's actually really bad too. Fucking up the economy through tariffs and evaporating $4 trillion from the international market and bankrupting thousands of small businesses in the United States, that was also a bad move. Cutting $9 billion from our budget, which is 0.16% of the federal budget, that's going to result in 14 million deaths. That's bad. And then through cholera, dengue, malaria, and AIDS, that's bad. And then also backstabbing our European allies and backstabbing Ukraine, resulting in thousands of dead Ukrainians, that's bad. And I knew, while I didn't know that it was going to be this bad, I had a suspicion because I used my brain during the first Trump admin and I tracked what he was doing. Okay. So I made an evaluative calculus. Is Kamala annoying as fuck? Yes. Does she have a Valley Girl accent? Yes. Does she laugh weird? Yes. Does she want to ban guns? Yes. All of that shit's bad. It's fucking annoying. I don't like a lot of Democrats. I think Democrats are fucking tools a healthy chunk of the time. However, 14 million dead people, annoying laugh. Which one's more important? I picked annoying laugh because I didn't want to kill millions of people through incompetence. And I have been vindicated in my perspective. Holy shit, it's fucking annoying. Sorry, the whole point of that is that you're supposed to drag people over to your political persuasion. I'm doing my best. I am failing, but I am doing my best.
What do you want me to do?
My prescription is that I think that there is a huge base. I had the fear that they didn't exist prior to that No Kings March. And then after it happened, I was like, oh shit, I think there's a huge base of center-left people. And I feel like the issue with the moderate Dems right now, the reason why people feel like there's no leadership of the Democratic Party or anything else is because there's no like strong platform of democratic values that are being championed by a democratic media apparatus. That doesn't exist. So when you look to the democratic media, there's two things you can look at. You can either see the mainstream media, who are all literally terrified of Trump derangement syndrome and are like constantly reminding themselves how horrible Biden was and how he was senile and everything and blah, blah, blah. That's all they can talk about to prove how like good they are and that they're not like the other Dems. And then you get the left wing, they're the leftists, the socialists and the commies, who are all exclusively shitting on the Democrats. So you have nobody standing up for you in the center left media. And then when I look at like we dominated in 2008 with Obama, he won his re-election. We lost unfortunately to Trump, but we lost with Hillary getting 3 million more votes than Trump. And then Biden came back and he destroyed it with more votes than have ever happened in the history of a presidential election. Okay, and all of this is like appealing to the
True. The moderates have won, but let me tell you, Hillary Clinton promising like as jihadist terrorist attacks were happening, her saying like, let's bring in 500,000 Syrian refugees right now. Nope, that ain't happening. I'm not voting for that shit. I'm less Islamophobic now, but back then I was hella Islamophobic, dude. So there's no way in fuck you're getting me to vote to bring in 500,000 Syrian refugees like a month, like 2 months after the Pulse nightclub shooting. There's no fucking way that you're gonna have some jihadist dickhead fucking murder 50 gay people 20 minutes away from my house. You're gonna have some other jihadist dickheads fucking bomb the Boston Marathon, and I was born in Boston. You're not going to have the Bataclan terrorist attacks fucking happen right like the terrorists. I've been to Paris, number one, multiple times. And then number two, the people who did the Bataclan attack were from my fucking neighborhood in Belgium. So my entire life is covered in jihadist terrorism. And you're going to have me vote to bring 500,000 fucking people who are not necessarily vetted from a fucking civil war in Middle Eastern North Africa? That's not going to fucking happen. And I was shitloads more Islamophobic back then. Yeah, so that was stupid. And that's how Hillary Clinton lost my vote. She's also a lizard person who drinks baby blood. So, yeah.
Kind of like moderate left Dems, and then for some reason,
what about this? You think I disagree? Like I agreed with that criticism. I agreed on the day after the election when Brian Tyler Cohen was there, and we were like all talking, like yes, and we were like preach and fucking cook BTC, because what PTC was saying was, look at how much they fucking give each other flowers. Look at how much they collaborate. Look how much the media like makes connections and builds bridges with each other and builds the system. But when we are like reaching out to audiences, yeah, maybe they have bad views. They disagree on shit. You have fucking bad views. I disagree with you on shit. People disagree on stuff. And
I'm pulling up my Discord invite because I have a broken Discord link and somebody asked for it. So excuse the sounds temporarily.
But okay, fine. I am trying to use their platforms. I'm trying to build those connections. I'm trying to go on breaking points to get them to fucking hate Trump. But I'm getting stymied because all of my fucking replies, first of all, my videos are getting fucking downvoted to shit. All the fucking responses, you're covering for tankies. You're doing this shit because you're trying to appeal to Hassan's audience. You know, everyone calling me a fucking cuck and like.
Oh, welcome to the centrist grift, Pisco. Well, welcome to the centrist grift, Pisco. Welcome to getting your fucking dick kicked in at old times for very minimal benefit. Like I said grift as if I don't believe all the stupid shit I said. Unfortunately, I do believe all the stupid shit I say. But welcome to having an unpopular position that makes no one happy. You're getting your dick kicked in by liberals because you're too fucking friendly with far lefties. And then the far lefties are kicking your dick in because you're fucking too sympathetic to liberals. Welcome to being in the center, Pisco. You're fucking welcome. Shave dog butt. Here is the Discord link. You better use it or I will be furious, because that is a pain in the ass for me to get every single time. I got to fix all my links. I've been saying that for months.
What is going on? If there was any like ever going to be like, no, I'm going to say we're small potatoes.
All right, we got 250 people, which I think is a channel high on Valor Media Network. I parasocially love you being here. This is what we do all the time. We watch hot political alternative media content. I pause every few minutes in order to read chat and in order to do my own commentary. If you enjoy it, please like the stream. Engage in chat. There's lots of very interesting people in my chat. They're very funny. They're very mean. They make me furious all of the time. Please give me super chats if you have money burning a hole in your pocket. And if you see the membership button, please donate memberships. I parasocially love you. Thank you for being here. Back to the content.
Potatoes, live and learn in small potatoes. But we are like a description of the kind of pro-Democrat budding, I don't know, media people that we would want to encourage. But instead, it feels like at every opportunity, you're trying to destroy us and you're trying to break us apart. It's like you're trying to split up, live and learn. Like you're trying to fucking give your flowers to Hutch and be like, look at all these fucking...
No, I'm not. I'm not trying to split up the show. If anything, this is the best content you guys have ever produced.
Should call it like Socialist and learn. Like it feels like it's incredibly acrimonious, personal, and yeah, so it doesn't feel like the effort here is to do what we like. I thought recognized was important to do after the election.
Sure. So let me repeat this. So you feel like the frustration is that you're trying to find ways to build what you view as being an important coalition to vote for, hopefully, the Democratic president, and that every single time you try to reach out and do it, or at least in this particular instance, we try to reach out and do this, as soon as you reach out to who you feel could be a valuable coalition member, you're just getting fucking annihilated by somebody else that you thought was supposed to be, electorally at least, an ally, basically, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Take that feeling and amplify it 50 million times more, and then replace me with leftists, and then replace you with the Democratic Party, and you've
True.
Explained completely the entire left-wing media apparatus for the past 8 years. Okay, how many times do I have to hear that Bernie Sanders was robbed of the election? Okay, but if those are the people that are constantly attacking you, and they're not attacking you because they disagree with your
your people are attacking me. Your people are attacking me. The people who used to love.
Wait. But when my people are attacking you, right? It's because I think that you're making a bad strategic choice for Democrats to win. When the left is attacking you, leftists, it's because they disagree with the ideology. They want a total reformation of the party. They're not talking.
Yeah, they also want a total reformation of the economic order. Master of Darkness, Vanguard Bros said Democrats are just controlled opposition, which implies that they're not even really trying. I wouldn't want to work with people who think like that. But Master of Darkness, you have to understand that if these people are socialists, this is what was so interesting about hearing about the history of socialist philosophy development over the course of the past 200 years, is that perspective makes sense from a socialist perspective. A socialist perspective means that, so I know that I always like hardcore autistic stick to decommodification of basic human needs and workers owning the means of production, but the unifying theme of socialists is that they believe that the working class is an artificial construct of the industrial state meant to separate workers from communal living, and that our separation of wealthy owners and working class people, not only is it like an artificial separation created by industry, but effectively, like, it's kind of like almost like a religious prophecy. We will not know peace until the workers have dignity and freedom. And so within that religious prophecy, if you have someone who's saying like, oh, well, you have it rough, $7 an hour isn't cutting it anymore, here's $8 an hour as a minimum wage. You're not actually interested in resolving the conflict of class or the undignified standards of living amongst the working class. You're just throwing the proletarian masses some red meat so they don't revolt. And so that's the way that they look at social democracy, and that's the way that they look at Democrats, is Democrats are not interested in resolving class conflict. They're resolving and throwing in just enough red meat to the masses that the masses don't revolt. And so in that way, they're quote unquote reactionary or counter-revolutionary, because Democrats keep the working class and the middle class happy just enough to not start a socialist revolution. So they're right from their perspective. I'm a capitalist, so I think that harnessing human industry in order to create untold wealth in order to conquer the stars is based as long as the working class has a decent standard of living. So that, I'm a class enemy too. I'm a counter-revolutionary. I'm a reactionary. Fashion 40 says his chat is filled with people who want him to eviscerate Destiny. All the Kiwi J-Stock adjacent dudes are in here. Yeah. But they're just trying to make content. I know that your comment is not related to ideology, but that is they're just trying to spice up the content. They just want the content.
Talking about, like, I think that you need a 20-an-hour minimum wage instead of a 15-hour minimum wage. They're saying things like minimum wage is a distraction from class struggle, and that's why the left and the right are the exact same in the United States, and we need a revolution.
I haven't heard that from Crystal or Kyle. Maybe the Vanguard say that. I'm not sure, but I just don't think that it describes my content. And notwithstanding the fact that I'm not reaching out to people like fucking Mike from PA.
Did you see Crystal's interview with the Michigan senator?
Yeah, with Alyssa Slotkin. I didn't see it. I've heard of it. I heard it was a hard-hitting interview, because guess what? Breaking Points, for all it is not.
I think David has a good summary. Pisco is being R-slurred. Agree. But DGG is dumping on Pisco way too hard. Agreed. The guy's well-meaning, smart enough to see his errors, and should be allowed to have his slip up without being crucified. Agreed. And I do think it's an ego thing. He doesn't want to take an L. He doesn't want to admit that he needs to modify his behavior. He's defensive against all the people who are fucking attacking him. And the truth is, but the people are attacking him so aggressively that even if Pisco concedes, okay, I think you're right. I think some of these lefties might be using me. Okay, you know, I'm going to go ahead and think about that some more, and I'm going to come up with rhetorical strategies so I can make sure that I'm bringing them my way instead of them bringing me their way. Even if he said that, I think 70% of the audience would ignore him saying that, and they would keep dogpiling, because let's admit, a dogpile is fun.
Not a show for Democrats. It's initially like it's like a show for all media types and like right wingers. Often you started as a show for right wingers, so I'm not surprised that Crystal Ball, who is a journalist, all right, she's not just a Democratic stooge, right? She's a journalist, that she's going to give a hard-hitting interview to a Democratic candidate because she doesn't have an allegiance to the Democratic Party, and we just
she didn't give a hard-hitting interview. She did a cuck purity test on Israel-Palestine. It is not a hard-hitting interview to scream at somebody for 10 minutes. Is it a genocide? Is it a genocide?
True.
That's purity testing on an issue that you will never win a single election on. If that's going to be like our standard for left-wing media figures, because now I could be wrong, and maybe you've just said what you just said there, that Crystal is just a media person and you wouldn't consider her left or right. Is that really the position you've had? You would say that Crystal's just a totally independent media figure?
No, I think she's left-wing. No, I think she's left.
Son Patty brings up an interesting point. We have 270 people in chat. This is a channel high. Like the stream. Super chats if you got them. Memberships if you got them. Engage in the chat. Watch the VODs.
Wing, but I do think that she's a journalist, and she's not just there to give hand jobs to senators. And yeah, I agree. Like, I haven't seen the interview. I'm not saying that I've seen the interview, but it doesn't surprise me that she's being pressing on Israel.
Sorry, this is important. Corey Peltzman is like, she's a Nazi. Shakira, because we were talking about how hot Shakira was earlier, she's a Nazi. Can't bad people be hot? What point do you think you're making? Like, I'm trying to think of like a villain. Who's a villain? The evil queen. You know, she's the fairest of them all. Now, I don't like this garb. I think this clothing is pretty nutso. But, you know, the evil queen, if she lost that black scarf thing, she could be a babe. Yeah, look, the evil queen, Maleficent, right? Maleficent. She's an evil queen. And this is what's her name? This is another woman who I think is like insanely beautiful. Why can't I? Angelina Jolie. Angelina Jolie is allegedly like actually quite bad of a person. Now, Brad Pitt might be a piece of garbage as well. Here's her now, but here's her probably in her 40s or 30s. There's her in her 40s or 30s. I think she's probably 50 something right now. Angelina Jolie, like total babe, like young Angelina Jolie. I don't want to go too young because I know she did some risque stuff. Like, yeah, here's her as a kid. It's not what we're looking for. Okay, Vosh, click off the screen. Okay, but Angelina Jolie, especially with Billy Bob Thornton, that era of her 20s or 30s or whatever. Angelina Jolie, Billy Bob Thornton. Maybe it's just because I was raised during this era, but Angelina Jolie was like, in my opinion, she was total babe right there. So like Tomb Raider Angelina Jolie, in my opinion, was peak. But the whole point is Angelina Jolie is supposed to be a bad person, dude. But like, she broke up Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt. She adopted like 7 different kids that she barely pays attention to. She got into a domestic dispute with Brad Pitt and drove him absolutely bonkers. And then Brad Pitt freaked out and got into a domestic violence situation, which, to be fair, could have been his fault. Maybe he's a bad guy too. I have no idea. But Angelina Jolie could be a total dirtbag. That doesn't change the fact that she's a attractive person. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, the whole moral of the segue is good-looking people can be bad, and that doesn't make them not good-looking.
Israel, I'm going to be honest, like, because of what's going on in Israel and Gaza, and the Democratic Party, what many people feel like is lack of leadership on that issue. And she's, speaking voice now to a growing resentment of the Democratic Party and its members, not just its leaders, right? The people, the Democratic members have soured on Israel. And so in that sense, like, yeah, maybe she's given an antagonistic interview to the candidate / leader of the Democratic people, but people's approval, the Democrats' approval of Democratic Party is shambolic. And so maybe it's okay. Maybe it's okay to do that.
The framing on this.
Fast and bulbous. This is in reference to me talking about how Donald Trump killed 14 million people. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the people, right? If they were Nazis, if it was 14 million Nazis, then they killed them competently. Or if it was tankies, like let's say that we go to war with China and then China is just like, it's not like we defeat the CCP and then the Chinese people are liberated. Let's say like every Chinese person is wholeheartedly dedicated to authoritarian communism. They're just like vicious, fascistic, authoritarian freaks. And we have to kill 14 million Chinese people in order to liberate China. Yeah, I would prefer a competent killing of 14 million tankies than I would the incompetent killing of 14 million random Africans through preventable disease.
The issue is so bad. If you like, when people say people are super pissed off about Israel Palestine, that should be a reason to vote in larger margins for the Democrats than to abstain from voting altogether. This, and the only reason why somebody could justify abstaining, why you get almost 20 percentage points of voters in Dearborn for Jill Stein, is because voters were hoodwinked by socialists and communists.
Bro, dude, this is a headshot for me in this line of argumentation, is that the left alt media said that Biden and Kamala were just as bad on Israel Palestine as Trump. And by the way, you can be totally horrified by America's complicity with the Gazan conflict. You can be totally horrified by the Democratic Party's complicity with the horrors in Gaza. However, there were 0 scenarios in this election where Donald Trump would have been better in Gaza than Kamala Harris. 0. Okay? Out of 14,635,000 realities, the Avengers only won in one timeline. Okay? Out of 635,000 realities, there are 0 realities where Donald Trump is better for Gaza than Kamala Harris. Absolutely psycho, contrarian, lefty bullshit to say that Biden and Kamala were the same on Gaza as Trump. Absolutely fucking psychotic bullshit. And that had a real effect in Michigan. Like Steven said, I think that hold on, let's even take a look here. Did Trump win Michigan in 2024? Donald Trump won Michigan, dude. You should be fucking pissed. You should be furious. That's crazy. Losing Michigan. And by the way, Biden carried Michigan with 68% of the vote. Kamala lost Michigan with 37% of the vote because 20% of the electorate voted for Jill Stein. Michigan was actually lost because the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Fucking bananas, bro. Bananas.
Communists, that Democrats and Republicans had the same position on this issue, and that somehow that we can say like a 50-vote Senate for Biden is like the best the Democrats can do.
And your solution is what? I mean,
fight them on their platforms to make sure that they fucking know that they contributed to the loss of the election and the death of 14 million Pisco. Sorry, I fucked that up. 14 million people, space, Pisco. Make sure they fucking know that. Make sure they know that their contrarian bullshit is not only making the left worse, it's making the country worse. Make sure that when they talk about, I know it's kind of a meme in chat, but make sure when they talk about 9-month abortions and a $50 minimum wage and how we live on stolen Native American land that needs to be repatriated, they are losing the American population. They are losing elections. And this isn't arbitrary. There are people who are dying in horrific ways because of their incompetence. That's the prescription. Fight them. You can be friends with them, but when some bullshit comes up, you fight the fuck out of them.
Like
it's to give them more votes.
No.
You think that Biden with 54 senators?
I want that, but like it seems counterintuitive because like when the moderates, right? When people say you lost the moderates, usually the response is you should appeal to the moderates. Or like when you lose the
Old School says, Connor, whenever you bring up the 14 million people bullshit lie, you look like a mindless, hate-filled fanatic. I'm starting to think that's what you truly are. Old School, I'm going to be as nice as I can. You're a fucking retard. Okay? Lancet study, 14 million death projection. USAID cuts could lead to 14 million deaths over the next 5 years. It's from dengue, malaria, cholera, and AIDS prevention. And so not only are those cut, but a substantive amount of the foods are cut. So Old School, if you want to prove to me that you're not fucking retarded, how about you link me something where you say, well, it was projected that 3 million AIDS deaths will occur, but actually there's less AIDS, right? How about you link me that? How about you find me that shit? How about you find me any information that contradicts this? Bear in mind, if the Lancet, which I'm pretty sure is actually a fairly respected journal, if the Lancet was wrong by 90%, that would still be 1.5 million preventable deaths. That's still a fuckload of people. And then what's the other thing? Confirmed AIDS-related PEPFAR deaths. So right here, not only are they confirming that there's like up to 11 million additional new HIV cases or whatever the fuck, but there's like stories in here with specific names of kids and women and men who have died already. So hold on. AIDS-related deaths due to PEPFAR cuts. So anyways, so yeah, so feel free to find me any contradictory information whatsoever. But here's just like a cursory link right now. There you go. Here's a World Health Organization estimating the deaths. Find me anything that contradicts this. I'll be happy to read that. Until you find me a contradictory source, I'm presuming that you actually have like 80 IQ and you're fucking retarded. Okay? That's the nicest way that I can put it. Sorry, Ken. Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Jesus. Sorry, Commander Haircut or Haircut Commander for using an ableist slur. My apologies for using an ableist slur. However, until you find me information that contradicts this, you're a tool. You just hate Trump because you think he killed people, but he didn't kill anybody at all. Source? Nothing. Shut the fuck up or get a source.
Voters in Dearborn, maybe you should appeal to the voters in Dearborn. I don't understand why the response from an electoral perspective is...
Oh, sorry. Shave Dog Butt brings up a very important point. 250 people, only 91 likes. Like the stream. It's free. Give super chats if you got them. It's appreciated and it helps the stream go. We've already had insanely generous people. Gen X gave 20. Anonymous Chatter gave 100. That way I didn't shave my beard, which is very based. Sapient Green gave 100 DKK. And then he gave 1,000, which is the equivalent of $150 for me to dye my beard, which is very based. Then I got Fashion 40, Lawson Harrison, and Grassroots Hegemon. I don't think that I've read your super chats yet. I don't think I've bumped into them yet, but thank you for your donations. I parasocially love you, and I will get to them momentarily.
control the information streams, which you're never gonna do. They just exist in an informational niche, which we're unable. We don't have. If we wanted to, we'd be unable to stop them from having the kind of assuming it's significant, the significant impact that they have. And so I just don't understand.
That's literally where we live. Is the information stream. If we say that we can't win that, then run a ton of ads because like the war is over, right? Because this is where Republicans dominate. Like
True.
If I would have bet you, 10 months ago, or if anybody would have bet me 10 months ago, do you think that fucking Trump could admit to fucking trafficking that woman at Mar-a-Lago to fucking Epstein and his fan base wouldn't?
Yeah, that's crazy. Virginia Giuffre was a massage therapist at Mar-a-Lago, and Jeffrey Epstein recruited her as a sex worker from Mar-a-Lago. That's fucking crazy. Like, I'm not so uncharitable as to say like Donald Trump like facilitated that, because apparently Jeffrey Epstein was banned from the club immediately after that. But if you read some of the reports, Jeffrey Epstein wasn't banned because he was recruiting teenage girls to have sex with. He was banned because he recruited teenage girls to have sex with from the club.
Care? I would have said no. That's obviously the breaking point. It would be way over before that. And holy shit, where are we at? Like, there has to be some level of like support for the Democratic Party. It can't be that like we lost the election and now we have to appeal to a group of people who fundamentally disagree with the entire existence of the Democratic Party and want to reform it into a socialist party.
And what Josiah and I have done, and Econoboy I think as well, is regardless of this whole socialist thing, which I think is like, it's to me it's not as important, and maybe I could be fucking clueless about that. I could be clueless about Marxist-Leninism. I could be all that.
I think he is clueless about it. That's my thing.
Shit. But what we've done is we've decided to focus on MAGA, the crimes of MAGA, the attacks of,
which is fine,
Trump, the what's going on in our institution. I go on to Crystal Ball show last week, Breaking Points, to talk about how Trump is fucking up in every conceivable way on the Epstein issue, how he's fucking up in every conceivable way with respect to the due process issue. Like the last time, before that, I was also talking about immigration. Like I go on these shows and these platforms. I actually had the Vanguard on separately. Maybe you guys, if you want to find more clips of me like being nice to the Vanguard, I had a separate interview with the Vanguard, just me. So if there's anything like bad clips, you can go find that and see if I'm inconsistent. But yeah, so go watch that video. It's really great. But in that video, I'm agreeing with the Vanguard in terms of like, this is how bad Trump is. This is why it's bad for Mahmoud Khalil. So what's wrong with that strategy? If we're going to have any effect, it's going to be reaching out to certain people we vehemently disagree with.
Because you should still challenge them on the socialist bullshit.
And making the case that Trump is awful, that we're in fucking hell right now. And I don't know what's wrong with that.
Here's the problem. This is what it's not enough to say. It's not enough to say that Trump is bad. You have to say that the Democrat is better.
I do say that.
True. Lawson Harrison for $5. Just draw alone. I will team up with you to defeat the MAGA dragon. But when you start trying to ban landlords, we are now political. Yup.
Not a thing that I don't think any of these people would admit.
Well, what you mean is they don't admit it. They literally do admit it when they say they voted for them. Now that's cold comfort. It's not enough. I agree. It's not enough. But they do admit the Democrats are preferable. Kyle does admit that. Crystal does admit that. Crystal had a whole debate with Cenk Uygur about why it was.
Yeah, I watched that debate. Yeah,
and she did. She did amazing. So like, it's just not true. These people don't acknowledge the benefit of the Democrats. The problem is sometimes they have critiques that are unhinged, untrue. We don't agree with. They go too far. I get it. Some of them, I don't even put in the same bucket Hassan Piker and these other people who I'm not trying to build bridges with, but the resistance, saying that what I like, look at when I saw that Hassan mentioned me on a stream. Do you know what all the ats were? They were like, you got your wish. You got your wish. You just wanted to get in with Hassan. That's what people think of me because of you. That's what people think of me because of your audience. And that's not true. And I resent that a shit ton because that's not what I'm doing.
Give a fuck if you resent it, bro. You've been accusing me of being bad faith for the past whole fucking week when I've justified every single fucking argument I've given. And you just spent 20 minutes talking about a clip of me from 10 minutes ago saying I'm a hypocrite on this issue. Like, yeah, online politics fucking sucks. No fucking shit, Sherlock Holmes.
Nah, I fucking love online politics. I love this schizo shit.
You don't have to fucking tell me that.
You can't.
I've been doing it for a decade. Yeah, it's fucking horrible. No shit. But I'm just saying that when you're trying to appeal to a side of the media where the entire goal of that side is the destruction of the Democratic Party. Listen, I mean, I can disagree and maybe fuck. Listen, you know what? You know what I fucking love? You know what would be the best thing in the world is if 12 months from now I'm on stream eating shit and all of these leftists are like, fuck it, we're gonna support the Democrats, we're gonna fucking canvass for them, and Pisco was so fucking right. I'd be like, oh fuck it, I was totally fucking wrong. You know, the last 10 years weren't indicative of the motion forward, and you know, fuck me, I guess. But in my mind, and I bet money on it with odds, like what's going to happen is in 6 to 12 months, all of these guys are going to be shitting on Democrats constantly. The only candidates they're going to support are going to be ones that are avowedly socialist communists, maybe mostly ones that are primarying, like the already elected Dems, and that's going to be it. And then at the end of the day, they're going to continue the rhetoric of both sides are the same, both sides are the same. Like, why do you think the Republican Party is so unpopular right now, but the Democratic Party isn't popular at all? It's not just because the Dems suck. It's because literally everybody tells you the Dems suck. The Republicans tell you the Dems suck. The Dems tell you the Dems suck. And
guess what? The Dems suck. The leadership right now is, and
they don't suck though.
Hold on, he's going to talk about the leadership problem, and I do think that that's an interesting. It's an interesting aside, but important chats. I do like engaging with my chat. If you're like, hey, why is Connor 40 minutes behind on chat? It's because I don't just read my super chats. I actually read my normal chats as well. So Cro-Magnon Man says, Connor, hearing you were born in Boston explains a lot about your politics and why I hate and love listening to you, said lovingly from a New Yorker in New England now. Yeah, honestly, I feel like it's the missing component for why people are like, why are you simultaneously so friendly to people where you can get along with everybody, but also why do you like freak out and like yell and cuss and be super rude and abrasive at the same time? I was born in Boston. You know, that's my family. My extended family is a bunch of like super rude, really weirdly friendly, but also cold and fucked up and funny Bostonians and New Englanders. Jake Rules 1 says, hey, Connor, first time here. I am ready to learn how to not be a cocksleeve for socialists. Well, and you salute. Thank you. I'll salute you back. So the main thing is realizing that socialists, Marxian socialists or Marxist socialists, in my opinion, they want the decommodification of basic human needs and workers owning the means of production, meaning that they want to provide food, water, and shelter to everybody for free, and that they also want all economic transactions to be enforced, that if you are working for an institution, you have a stake in that institution. In my opinion, in order to achieve that, you need to create a state apparatus that's so large that it effectively is going to be authoritarian almost no matter what. Because if they're enforcing that level of redistribution of material assets, and if they're enforcing that level of economic relationships, there's no way that you don't have a massive police state. And so if you have a massive police state, then you create the dystopian nightmares similar to China and the Soviet Union. Now, what, who is it? Ogreboy will say is like, okay, well, we can start with the Scandinavian model, which is social democracy. But then I think we can push past that into a truly socialist government. Scandinavians laugh at this and think it's very stupid. I also think it's very stupid. So social democracy is too far left for me, but I think it's acceptable. Socialism, we should treat like a plague, like a virus that is on the verge of infecting us. And if you want to do socialism at a local level, if you want to get into a commune of 30 people and you want to provide food, water, and shelter to everybody, and then you want to create an entrepreneurial enterprise that you all have a stake in and profit sharing, go for it. I don't give a fuck. Just do it under the capitalist and liberal governance of the United States of America and or Europe, wherever the fuck you live. End of rant.
Agreed with that. You fought with that on the Vanguard.
What I mean is the current leadership, the makeup right now, the Dems are in disarray. The leaders are not doing a good job. And I've talked about it. It doesn't make me like my critique bad faith or I'm trying to appeal to lefties. When I say that, Joe Biden did a Trumpian thing, I'm not saying that to appeal to tankies. I'm not saying that it's a Trumpian thing to do to like put your family before the country, that kind of thing, and that it's just.
Steven's mic sucks because he's calling in on a cell phone.
as bad as what Trump did. I'm not saying it because I'm trying to appeal. Like, what fucking commie is appealing to, like, is listening to that and being like, oh yeah, he's shitting on Biden for the pardon. Most commies are like, oh, I think it's based that he pardoned Hunter. They're like, oh yeah, we love that he pardoned Hunter because he's a good dad. That's usually what the leftist
No, they
critique
say it's based that he pardoned Hunter because the Dems and the Republicans are the same anyway. And if you want to criticize Joe Biden for pardoning Hunter, Joe Biden made a massive fucking mistake. The mistake was saying that he wouldn't do it. It wasn't actually pardoning him after 3 years of a Republican witch hunt of the fifth.
Fight on Hunter Biden. Fight, fight, fight. Pisco. Get him.
15th one they've done. It was that he said that he was going to do it. He shouldn't have said he was going to.
You can say that's a reason, but my intention when I say things like Joe Biden, he fucked up the election in that sense. He screwed us over. Joe Biden, despite all the good things, he's the best president. I still say he's the best president of my lifetime. I still say that. But that he did a Trumpian move by closing the border and by pardoning his son. I'm not trying to appeal to commies. And when I criticize Chuck Schumer and say he should retire, when I criticize everyone who voted to censure Al Green, I'm not trying to appeal to commies. I'm trying to make the Democrats better. I'm trying to make the Democrats stronger, because I think if these guys are in charge, we are fucked. We are cooked. And the only way we're going to win an election is just because maybe the Trump is so unpopular. But we're not maximizing our chances by having these people in charge. And so, yeah, I've shit on the Democrats a great deal. Josiah has, Hutch has, Ogreboy has. Now, there's some bad faith criticism. There's some good faith criticism. But what you can't say is giving a hard-hitting interview to Alyssa Slotkin is like incompatible with us like going on these shows or like.
No, Pisco. Once again, nobody gives a shit about you going on the shows. You just need to know more about socialism, know more about communism, and know when you're being used. That's all it is, bro. This is something that Pisco articulated where he's like, I don't think there's that much of a difference. You're right. The criticism is actually fairly small. The criticism is you're a smart guy, but you are being used by nefarious actors. Yeah, this would be like, I'm trying to think of this. This would be like if Sargon of Akkad started palling around with America First, but he still identified as a classical liberal. And then all the other people in his orbit said, hey, man, like the America First and the dissident right might be useful electorally, but if you go onto their shows, you need to know like what their actual policies are and what's a dog whistle, because you might end up agreeing with a dog whistle, or you might end up agreeing with a criticism of the Republican Party and or neocons, moderates, libertarians. You might end up giving them fuel to their fire to grow their base. But realistically, Nick Fuentes and the Groyper movement and the America First movement can actually be quite nefarious. And then instead of going like, oh shit, I didn't know they were nefarious, let me go ahead and research their ideology so I can better combat it when I'm on their programs, you just go like, well, the far right votes for Republicans anyway, so why wouldn't I just go on there and tell them what I think is true? Because realistically, as much as they might be influencing me, I'm influencing them. How do you know that they're not becoming classical liberals whenever I go onto their programs and we share clout and influence? And it's because, like, no shit, like rising tides raise all boats. So if they're elevating your platform, you can also elevate theirs through good content. And then not just that, you might agree to random weird dog whistles because you're a useful idiot for the far right. So if we can clearly identify that delineation on the far right, why wouldn't we presume it's the same case on the far left? That's the frustration. That's why this has been 2 weeks of content, despite the disagreement being pretty small. It's like, Pisco, do more research on socialism and be ready for better fights with these people. That's it. That's the criticism. Hans Mayer does bring up that young Megan Fox and Halle Berry are also peak. I'm going to stop looking at random attractive celebrities because I'm not trying to like turn this into a gooning stream. I'm actually pretty anti-gooner. I also think a young Anne Hathaway is very, very, very pretty. Even Anne Hathaway now, total babe. But, you know, I'm a married man. I'm a happily married man. I love my wife. I just want people to realize that if they don't like Salma Hayek, they're probably gay. Sane Grove says, hello, Connor. Has Pisco talked about his feelings on being signal boosted by Hassan? Which, again, that's just further evidence that tankies and Marxist-Leninist apologists are using Pisco to fight liberals. If I were him, that would give me pause, and it should. It's not that Hassan and Pisco can't be correct about something. It's just that if a nefarious person signal boosts you, that should give you pause. 100%.
Or fundamentally trying to.
It's never just that in a vacuum. It's just that like I agree that Dem leadership is weak, and I shit on the Dems too. I joked that I don't even know if I was joking. I would fucking primary any Dem that voted to censure Al Green. It's fucking insane. Okay, like yeah, they definitely have their problems, but like holy fuck, if you're a Democrat, like I don't know, what are you even building towards and who are you building for, right? Like what was the constant criticism? Like these guys need to go out.
True. If you win but you lose all of your principles, what was the point?
And do podcasts more. They need to go on shows more. I remember joking before the election, if Kamala went on any right-leaning podcast, she'll be.
If you're, So if your sole goal is winning, but you don't care about having principles, then you need to be ready that by the time you win, your principles might be completely alien to the ones that you started with. And that's why politics is so dangerous, is because it attracts sociopaths who are purely interested in clout, money, influence, and power.
Eviscerated. Her interview on that like CNN, I think it was, with Walz, that was a hard interview, and that was on like a liberal platform, and no centrist podcast is going to host her without it being incredibly contentious. And it's like, okay, well, cool. Look, it looks like they're trying to go out and do podcasts now. And the first one she goes on, Sagar or whatever, is nicer than Crystal Ball. Crystal Ball's first question to the senator,
Sacker,
was why did you even come here? It's like Jesus Christ.
She gives.
Dreamcast says, do you think Steven's way too unforgiving with people, or do you think he's justified to do so looking at his past relationships? I think he blows hot and cold with this. I think oftentimes when he's in the middle of a heat, Steven is often eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth, which I think is bad morality, by the way. I think the Christian turn the other cheek shit is better. However, I've seen him also be conciliatory, so it's hard to say like for instance, like with Lav and Mr. Girl, there were like weird times after the drama where he would be like nice to Lav, or Kelly Jean or J-Stock, or Pisco and Hutch and all that kind of stuff. Like I think Steven to some degree feels betrayed that everybody ran away from him screaming the second that he had the sex drama. And I think that's kind of crazy considering that he probably thought of some of these people. I'm sorry for taking a pause to breathe, but it's a different conceptualization. I don't think Steven has an offline life. Okay. I think a lot of people, including me, we have a discrete way in which we interact online, and we expect that to be slightly separate from our real lives. So I'm the same guy in my real life, but I don't talk like this with my family members. If I debate broed all my family members about, like, we do that when we're drinking, when we're having fun, when it's appropriate to do so. But I don't talk like this when we're just like at dinner with the grandparents. You know what I'm saying? Whereas I think Steven is the same person all the time, but I think that's also because he doesn't have like a really, 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 really separate offline life. At least that's my observation. He could correct me. I don't know. But then I think when online friends betray him for clout, money, or influence, I think it stings more because he was looking at those as real relationships, whereas those people were like, yeah, this is like a friendship, but this is also my job. You know what I'm saying? I might have said that poorly, but I hope you pick up what I'm putting down. I hope you're licking what I'm spitting. And I did just say that to be gross.
Yeah, don't
tough interviews.
Journalism stuff. Like
Crystal gives hard interviews. She's not like I don't know what to say. She's known for this. Like I don't think that she just, when it comes to politicians, especially politicians, because she thinks it's a genocide. Given her view that Israel's committing a genocide on Gaza and on the Palestinian people, it makes complete sense why she would ask that question. Like, just grant her view that she's doing that like she's trying to improve the Democratic. Like imagine that she really thought that the Democratic base is moving significantly towards being pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel. Then in some sense, I don't understand why we wouldn't be pressuring our elected officials to more represent the
I don't think that the Democratic Party is moving to being pro-Palestinian.
I think the polling seems to suggest that. I don't know. Like, have you seen it?
I think there's. I mean, like, when you like, who has more? Like, I have more sympathy for the Palestinians than Israel. Like, how do you have sympathy for the fucking Israelis? Okay, these motherfuckers intercept missiles out of the middle of the sky. I feel like I'm like, people are having more sympathy for the Palestinians, but like when it comes to like the solutions that a lot of the socialist types would implement, like I don't know how many people would vote to like pull all support and all funding from Israel. That's like a much deeper, much darker question, especially when
I feel like the Democrats' base is basically saying we don't like the leadership. I don't think in that context, that's not just the crazies online. It's not just me and Josiah Counterpoint. It is the broad consensus of the Democratic members that the people who are currently in charge are not doing a good job and they should be replaced. And I haven't watched the interview, and so I don't want to comment. Maybe it was inappropriate. Maybe it was. I don't, in principle, have a problem with that interview or a hard-hitting interview. But in terms of the prescriptions, what I want to know is, how are we fucking up? How am I fucking up? What am I doing wrong that would cause such an upheaval? Like my mentions are insane. Like people saying shit like you abandoned liberalism. It's crazy. I mean, like going back to
yes, but this is where you need to bully people. This is actually free advice to Pisco. I think this is excellent advice because I'm a 3,000 IQ genius. Bully those people. Okay, bully those people and don't care about the likes. I have reply guys who pop into my replies every now and then, and they're like, Connor is a Destiny simp, and he doesn't have any principles or morals, and he sold his soul to PV. And then I call them ableist slurs and tell them to get vasectomies and end their bloodlines, and that realistically I say everything except for KYS. Which if I could, I would. If I could tell people KYS, I 100% would if it was in terms of service. And I feel a little bit better, and then I block that person. And you know what happens is, relatively speaking, my emails and my Twitter is quiet because I have guns. If you come to me in the real world and you try to hurt me or my family, I will fucking kill you. I'm just telling you, like, I'm not trying to be like cool about it. I'm really not. But if you walk up and you start verbally harassing my family, I will beat the shit out of you in public. And if I have to go to jail for that, I will go to jail. I do not care. And if you try to hurt anybody I care about, I will gouge your eyeballs out of your fucking skull. Okay? I will actually rip your eyeballs out of your fucking sockets. And I'll probably laugh while doing so. So don't fuck with me or my family, right? But when it comes to online stuff, I won't tell you to kill yourself because that's rude. Well, actually not because it's rude. I would do it if I could, but I'll basically say everything but that because of terms of service, and then I'll block you. And then as a result, my DMs are very quiet. I actually get very nice DMs most of the time. And the few rude ones that I do, I have a simple solution for that.
I guess to say about it, I think appealing to the values of socialists is the same thing as appealing to the values of other illiberal groups like Nazis or fascists.
Okay, I haven't.
Like,
I don't know how.
Sorry, I finally caught up with the super chat. Grassroots says, while Chad is simping, Anya Taylor-Joy and Ella Pummel, dude, give me my weird bug-eyed alien women. You can keep Sydney Sweeney. I'm chilling. Dude, I think Anya Taylor-Joy is a weird-looking woman who is very attractive. I agree. I'm with Grassroots on this one.
I have done that. When you say, because if you define socialism in the sense that like of the whatever your version of it is, how have I done that? We're debating in the Vanguard, for example, like how to implement Biden's strategy, Biden's policy, Biden's promises, Biden's $15 minimum wage, not some crazy.
Okay, I'm curious then. If I'm brain broken on this, why do you think Hutch had such a contention with the conversation after it happened? What was his problem? Okay,
I love Hutch. Hutch is my boy. Hutch is wonderful, and I always stand by Hutch. I think
got a bust I hear coming that you're about to throw him under.
I'm not throwing him under. I legitimately think this, that when Hutch hears us like granting some amount of agreement, which we legitimately do with the Vanguard, which is basically that Joe Biden should have signaled better, or he should have seemed more strong, he should have postured more, not with the specifics of kicking Manchin out in West Virginia, not with the specifics of actually obtaining a $15 minimum wage from Joe Manchin, which we both acknowledge is impossible, but just with a more macro view of the Vanguard. That is to say that the Democrats should look like they're giving a fuck a little bit more, which I think is a modest take, a modest proposal. I think that Hutch similar to the audience, which maybe it's reasonable, took that kind of optical stance of us being like, well, we're, middle of the road. On the one hand, Hutch has a point here on the mansion stuff, but, the Vanguard is saying this. And he took that in the way that many people might have reasonably took, which is that we are trying to both sides it and we're not really having his back here. But it was our honest take, and it is still my opinion. And I was more defensive of Hutch with respect to like the personal comments that the Vanguard had made about like his lip ring and that kind of stuff. And it seemed like they ironed that out at the beginning. And so I wasn't really I was just trying to give my honest take in that moment. And Hutch might have felt a way about that, but I don't think it's because we were genuinely stabbing him in the back or trying to gaslight him. I promise you, I was like, no, sorry. I promise you I'm not gaslight. I promise you that I am just formulating my opinion in real time and being honest about it. But people took that.
If you had to, I'm just curious, if you had to guess for like a live and learn audience right now, if you had to guess what percentage of them.
Dude, that's the other thing too. So if we take a look at the chat, KC says Hutch is the best part of live and learn by far. Keb says the Vanguard had an opinion that was reasonable. Straighterade's in chat. Do you feel about your leaked messages about Pixie or Destiny? So they're harassing Aaron. Hutch is worried. It's weird that all the most well-read people are saying similar things and all the brain-dead people just spew genocide over and over. Actually, I would say Pisco's chat is pretty receptive to Steven's line of argumentation, but I don't know if DGG is hate rating. I don't know. But if you look at live and learn chat, there are a lot of progressives that freak out. Like whenever Hutch is talking, whenever I'm talking, the live and learn chat freaks the fuck out. Now, maybe it's only half a dozen loud people, and I'm not saying they should be banned or anything, but they say crazy shit, like crazy, unhinged, hateful shit. And so I think that like they need a temperature check, right? Like how much of the live and learn audience are liberals who in general will support moderate Democrats if it means defeating MAGA, versus how many of them are the brain rotted far lefties who they've recruited through collaborations with the Vanguard and collaborations with Crystal Ball and Kyle Kalinske. Even if it's 30% of the chat, I think they need a temperature check. 100%. That's how you get audience captured. You get audience captured by not doing temperature checks. So Corey Peltzman is still talking about Shakira. Corey Peltzman, I'm just going to tell you, Shakira is an anti-Semite. She can still be hot. Who gives a shit? You made your point. Okay. eDreamcast says, tankies have always been the useful idiots and liberals have had to clean their mess. Well, I think useless idiots is kind of more of the point. RageMate says, Pisco seems to not understand that appealing to fringe groups is ostracizing to the middle. Yup, like me. No one wants to vote for the party coddling to unhinged people. Yeah, like Hassan Piker, who openly endorses terrorism. Yeah, fuck that. Not So Gen X says, people will die in this country too. Close hospitals and nursing homes and healthcare access cut off. Yeah, my wife told me this story, and I'm not trying to be too doomer about it, but there was a local story in like Nebraska or something, and they were talking about how due to the Medicaid cuts, they were projected to have to close the regional hospital because so much of their clientele were, I guess they didn't work, but they were disabled or whatever. I don't fucking know. But anyways, the regional hospital was closing. And while they're doing the interview where the doctors are bemoaning the fact that their budget is so cut that they have to close the hospital, a car slams on the brakes into the parking lot, and there's a child who stopped breathing that they do fucking CPR on. That child would have otherwise died if not for that regional hospital. And so, thank God, the kid ended up living. But 6 months from now or a year from now, there will be another child who is local, who will have a heart issue or who will choke, and they will die because a regional hospital has closed. 100%. 100%. Skywalker says, I think Destiny is too polite to tell Pisco that he's too competent enough to fight back on these issues. Maybe. You might be saying incompetent, but I think that's part of the criticism is that Pisco is an otherwise competent person. So if currently he's a useful idiot for the far left, he doesn't have to be. He can still hang out with the far left, and he could probably beat the shit out of them, which is what I want. Anyways, let's continue. quick shill time. We broke 300. Again, it's a channel record. Like the stream, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. Check us out, dude. We're live Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. I know that I'm probably going to have a correlative dip in viewership tomorrow just because I probably won't be talking about the hot drama unless something new pops off. However, if you like the pace of the channel of watching 5 minutes of drama content mixed with politics, and then a little bit of insightful commentary every 5 minutes, mixed with a little bit of chat engagement, this is the vibe, bro. This is the vibe. Stick around. Become a cogger. Become a part of the community of grill hottists. You know, if you're center left, or even if you're a sensible progressive, if you're center right and you just like the drama, hang out, man. We're a good stream. We got a good community, I promise.
Voted for Kamala in the last election. In your mind, what do you peg that percentage at?
90.
Sorry, last comment. Wait, did Connor get the R slur pass from Valor? I didn't. I did not. I should not be using the R slur. It slips out every now and then, but I'll be sure to apologize every time for my ableism.
Okay. And then if you had to feel like what percentage of them would have like enthusiastically supported Kamala as a candidate against Trump, not just hated Trump, but enthusiastically supported Kamala as a candidate, in your mind, what is that at?
My intuition is 80. I don't know.
Okay. In my mind, those numbers are like 50-20. No, not that, but like 60-40 is where I'm feeling.
I have a lot of conservatives in my chat. I have a lot of
okay, sure. Well, then
I'm going to use the restroom. I'll be right back.
I don't know.
That's not fair.
But I think that most of the people who watch my shit are Dems. I do Dem porn. I talk about how shitty Trump is half the time. And I don't understand I don't know if you get this now. When you keep saying I just talk about how shitty Trump is, like that's the end. They agree with you there. Like like socialists will agree with you that Trump is bad, but they're just going to say that the Dems are about the same. Okay, my intuition is that these people acknowledge, like, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I look at my post history, look at my
Twitter. I'm just curious. Like, I see like there's tweets like you're like shitting on like fucking Cory Booker and stuff. And it's like, Jesus Christ. Like,
yeah, Cory Booker can be cringe. Cory Booker is cringe in many respects. Now, I think Cory Booker sometimes
He's one of the only ones doing anything at the moment.
Yeah, he stood up for 28 hours.
What do you want? Cory Booker's cringe? Like the guy's like,
I don't know. All I'm telling you is Cory Booker sometimes does cringe things. That I've known who Cory Booker is now for years. I'm not telling you that Cory Booker, you shouldn't vote for Cory Booker. Would need to know the context of the tweet about Cory Booker. Now, I saw what he said about Pete Buttigieg. I think that's fucking stupid and wrong. And Pete Buttigieg, I would be proud to support Buttigieg. And if it came down to it and we're still talking shit and he were the nominee, you better believe I'm going to go on those streams and be like, why are you saying don't vote for Buttigieg? Why are you not enthusiastically supporting Buttigieg? Like I did in the lead up to the 2024 election when I was debating vigorously with lefties about not, including Ogreboy, who just fucking talk shit to you. I was debating them vigorously to vote for Kamala Harris enthusiastically. So to act as though I wouldn't stand on business when we have a nominee, or like part of the whole thing of the beauty of the Democratic nomination process, which you've acknowledged, is to suss out what the direction of the party is going to be. This is the time when the Democrats need to define themselves. And so if there's ever a moment for internal critique, if there's ever a moment for us to decide what the direction is, it would be now. And so I'm going to be much more accommodating of that kind of disagreement here, in steadying the ship perhaps towards them. Okay, Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad.
Okay, I don't necessarily disagree with you here, but like, wait. There's
$20 from Grassroots Hedgebon said Connor would be a millionaire if he just held his beard hostage.
There's a limit, though, to like what can happen in the primary process, right? So like if there's two candidates and one is like $7 an hour minimum wage and the other's like 15 an hour minimum wage, and I look at the 7-hour minimum wage person, I'm like, this person wants to, I think this is almost like a slave labor wage. I don't think this is good. Like, this is horrible. If that person wins the primary, I can like kind of begrudgingly like, okay, yeah, well, whatever, fine, we'll support this person. But if I spend the entire fucking primary calling this person a child rapist or calling them Genocide Joe, how the fuck am I ever expecting that group of people?
And by the way, the only reason why Genocide Joe stuck was because it was an alliteration. And as much as Biden likes to sniff kids, I don't think he's a child rapist.
said earlier, if you really believe that Crystal Ball believes that there's a genocide going on and she's going to push hard on, you know, the whoever she comes to interview, well, if all the socialists literally believe that it's an actual genocide and the Democrats are complicit in it, holy fuck, how do you vote for fucking like Hitler Jr.? Like, I don't think you can get them on your side at that point. I don't think they're ever going to join.
It's tough, but the like.
Mackie Hilden says, on the topic of winning the information war in the media, how do you think Dems can win in the current media environment? What narratives can we use? I think you're just going to have to show, you can't just say Trump bad. You have to show like actually fucked up shit. I know that this is upsetting, and I'm not trying to be a total dick about it, but I think you have to break into Gaza with video cameras, and you have to show, and I know this would piss off like a healthy chunk of Israelis and sympathetic Jews, but you have to show the starvation conditions and you have to show the war crimes. You have to do that. You have to say that Trump is permitting this. He's encouraging this. Then when it comes to the PEPFAR shit, you need to go to fucking East Africa and South Africa and West Africa. And you need to show AIDS babies dying of fucking AIDS. You need to show people dying from dengue and cholera and malaria. And you have to say, this is Trump's fault. This cost $9 billion a year. It was 0.16% of the budget. This is not some abstract thing where people in Narnia die because they're not getting enough truffle chocolates. They're not getting enough Turkish delights. These are real flesh and blood human beings for a good bipartisan program that flexed American power. And there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who are dying because of Trump's incompetence. And then it's the same thing with the businesses. You can't just say, oh, we lost 1,000 small businesses. You have to go to Trump voters who have been turbo fucked by the tariffs. And you have to say, what happened? And if they say, yeah, I went from paying $10,000 a month in tariffs to spending $300,000 a month in tariffs, and I wasn't able to pay the bill, so I had to shut down business. So an e-commerce business that I created, that I had grown for the past decade of my life, I had half a dozen to a dozen employees, I had to close up shop. And if you keep these things abstract, where you keep like reading about statistics that are bad, I'm an imaginative person. So I can imagine the AIDS babies and the dead Gazans and the shut down small businesses, but most people can't. Until you see it, it's not real. It's just words. You need to be able to see it. So until Dems get their heads out of their ass in that regard, I think we're kind of fucked, and I think we just have to wait for the midterms. Anyways,
I can't change them into not believing that. First of all, because I do believe it. Because one is because I do affirm it, and I do believe it now that it is a genocide. Put that aside. But separately, like even if I didn't, I can't change that notion. I can't change their mind on that.
But like if you can't change it, like that's part of my point. There's too many beliefs that can't be changed without sacrificing like the whole mass of the ship of the party. Because now you have to basically become socialist or quasi-socialist, and then you're gonna end up bleeding off like half the party doing that because your base are your moderate lefts.
I think that more and more people you're seeing in the polling that yes, this is a very divisive issue.
Thank you for becoming a member, Beef Supreme.
But the Netanyahu in Israel is not popular right now, and
we keep saying,
okay, but why is a state representative answering for foreign policy? Okay, you can say that, well, they're on this committee or they're part of the voting bloc and we're trying to alarm people as to what's going on in Israel and Gaza. But I think a lot of Democratic pragmatists are going to say, if she was a senator, she was one of 50 representatives. If she's a congresswoman, she's what, like one of 300? How many people are in the fucking Congress? I forget. Isn't it like 4 and change? I forget. I always think like Congress has like 285 or something is like the split. How many congressmen are there? There are 535 members of Congress. 100 serve in the U.S. Senate, 435 serve in the House of Representatives. So if she's a congressman, she's one of 435. If she's a senator, She's 1 out of 100. I'm sorry for saying 50. I'm just tired. So my apologies for getting congressional numbers incorrect. But we have 100 senators, 2 from each state, and then we have 435 congressional representatives. So if she's a congressperson, what the fuck is she supposed to do about Gaza? You know what I'm saying? She can pipe up about it. She can yell about it. She can bring it up. She can talk about it on her committee. But what is she supposed to do about the foreign policy of an American ally that's doing bad shit?
Dang that, but you know what's really not popular is
What?
socialists. Like, how many years, decades have we heard that it's like, this is the election series, this is the time where they're all going to come out, and resoundingly they get crushed over and over and over again. Like, why do we think that this is the path forward?
I don't think if what you mean by socialism, is tankyism or Marxist-Leninism, I don't think it's the way forward. But we have Mamdani.
So yeah, social democracy. He can make an argument for social democracy because the truth is Bernie Sanders and AOC are popular, right? They're extreme enough to get national-wide attention. They're extreme enough within the party, or they're big enough within the party for people to actually pay attention to them. So social democratic policies proposed by socialists seems to be popular enough to be worthy of consideration and integration, even if you hate socialism.
AOC, you think AOC might be the way forward? That's
eDreamcast says, being of Irish descent, what do you think of the IRA? I think that I was more sympathetic to the IRA in the early 20th century when they were actually fighting for the independence of the whole island. But as soon as Northern Ireland was the only part of the United Kingdom and the Irish Republic was one, I think that they should have gone their separate ways, and Ireland should have become its own independent thing, and they should have focused on internal development instead of terrorism in Northern Ireland. Like if they're majority Protestants, right? And let's say it's like 60-40 Protestants to Catholics, then just have the Catholics fucking move out and focus on making Ireland like a good country to live in, you know? I think shooting random 19-year-old soldiers and killing random civilians and assassinating, like they killed, I don't know, like some duke or some shit, but they blew him up along with his kids or his grandkids. They killed like 2 boys, like an 8-year-old and 11-year-old. No, fuck that. You don't need to kill an 8-year-old in order to reclaim 20% of your country that's filled with Protestants anyways. It's fucking stupid, in my opinion. But what can I say? I'm a diaspora Irish person.
Not socialism in your mind. So if that's what people mean by socialism, if that's what people think is the way forward, people like AOC and Bernie, great. And if people have, are too harsh on those people, I'm going to fight them for sure. And I will support people like AOC and Bernie. And I agree that they're not
park the car in the garage in Harvard Yard. Yeah.
Left enough for the purists and for the lefties and that kind of shit. But at the end of the day, like, what am I to do? I'm going to try to marshal what I can. I'm going to try to push people in the right direction when I can to vote for the Democratic candidate. And I don't think any mainstream Democrat right now is the worry. The worry is, as you mentioned, right, like the media class.
I think when you say what you do, I think it's pushing and building on the Democratic side of things, not joining a media apparatus that almost exclusively rewards only attacking the Republicans and then only shitting on Dems. Because that's
Mellow D for $2 says, talk about Hunter Biden with Destiny next time. No, that's like the one way the bridge will burn is if we start fighting about Hunter Biden again, because I'm going to be like, it's corrupt, and the IRS charged him with 3 felonies and 6 misdemeanors, and he had the fucking gun charge. And then the Destiny's going to be like, yeah, but I don't even give a shit. He's like, that's cool. Banging hookers and tax evasion and smoking crack is awesome. And then I'm just going to get really fucking mad. So no, if you want Steven and I to remain friends, let's actually not talk about Hunter Biden. Let's avoid that topic like the fucking plague.
If you wanted to join right now and do media, you're either a Republican or you're somebody that's probably going to spend a lot of time shitting on the Dems and then maybe also attacking the Republicans. And like, that's it. Like in the left-wing media apparatus, that's all there is. And I just think it's really sad that, like, now how do we appeal to these people who have all built careers out of just relentlessly attacking establishment Democrats?
You say that, but there's just no example of me doing that, right? I get that
No,
some people.
well, not you, but you guys have a show called Live and Learn, where now 1/4 of your cast are socialist, and now you're like
But what
arguing.
he means by socialist, I get, but I respect his truth. That's what he means by socialist. But you take issue with that label, even though it doesn't match what your vision is of
I don't
socialist.
necessarily take issue with the label.
No. Fuck that. Okay. I actually need to have another conversation with Econoboy. Okay. I really do. Because if he's still advocating for like a market Scandinavian whatever shit where like more of the country gets nationalized, it becomes an ideological battle where effectively we have capitalism with a robust welfare state that achieves the goals of socialism, which is the emancipation of the working class, while still maintaining the capitalist structure of a market. And so at that point, I would be like, okay, you're just like a super aggressive, autistic social democrat. But if he says like, no, I actually, not only do I want to take the Scandinavian model, not only do I want to take the Scandinavian model further, which I think is necessarily going to birth an authoritarian nation, but whatever, let's just treat it hypothetically. And then he's like, no, like we need to decommodify basic human needs and we need to abolish the ownership class. Then I'll be like, okay, you're a fucking socialist. I think you're a nice guy, but fuck you and your shitty ideology. You know what I'm saying? That's where I don't like this plain footsie shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I can be nice to Econoboy, but I'm not going to be nice about socialism. I'll barely be nice about social democracy. So, and somebody asked me earlier, it's a routine chatter, I forget who it is, but they said like, hey, Connor, how do you feel about social democracy? Yeah, okay. I'm okay with social democracy where we have a robust welfare state, paternity leave, we have really cheap food, guaranteed cheap rent, guaranteed cheap housing. What would be the other one? Guaranteed free water. I'm okay with the social democratic economy as long as you're also okay with like a Swiss super earth military culture, right? Like if we have all that, like we might as well just go full Starship Troopers at that point, right? If we're going to have the authoritarianism anyways, then we might as well like have our kids as soon as they join public school at 5, they might as well start like working out, lifting weights, learning military shit, and they might as well be like Swiss. You know what I'm saying? Where like they have compulsory service at 18 and they're all part of the American military. If you're cool with like service guarantees citizenship, I'll come along on the social democracy. But if you want to have a bunch of programs where not only are you guaranteeing all these social services, but there's no cultural or public school pressure to be a productive member of society who is capable of not just defending yourself, but of defending your whole society, then you can take your fucking uwu Care Bear fucking Scandinavian dream and you can stick it up your ass. I'm not joining the Care Bears universe. I will join Super Earth. But of course, we're talking about like hypotheticals, right?
Well, I respect his truth too. Okay, I don't think he's a secret tanky, but what he sees as his new label, other people see as an opportunity to infect.
Give me a state-issued assault rifle and have my kids trained to be fucking warriors. And I'll join your uwu fucking social democrat society. If we're not training warriors, then fuck that. I'm not living in your fucking Care Bear bullshit. Chris C says, at this point, it's starting to feel like Pisco is being deliberately obtuse. He's gone down the path. No, I just think he's defensive. I don't think he's obtuse. I think he understands. I think he's just defensive. He'll relax when the pressure comes off. Valor says, memberships are now live. Join the based army today. I think it's the girl hottists, but I appreciate that. Grassroots, immediately after my buddy, I think it's Phil, immediately after Phil said that, donated 10 memberships. Thank you, King. Much appreciated.
And then spread the anti-liberal ideology. Like, it's not like if we were in a room full of clones of Bernie Sanders and AOCs and Econoboys, like, well, fuck it, let's appeal to socialists. I don't give a fuck at that point, sure. But if we were in a room full of fucking Stalins and Lenins and all these people, and then Econoboy, jumps in, he's like, hey, I'm a socialist, like, we should appeal to these guys, right? I'm like, let's go to the fucking other room.
So what do I do? So Econoboy has this whole position about what?
True.
First of all, I think capitalism is based. I've always been in favor of private capitalism, but what do you want me to do about it? Like, Ogreboy, let's have a conversation about communism, a conversation that you think that I'm not even equipped for.
Beezus Cat, thank you for becoming a member.
And what do you want me to do about that?
GRT, thank you for gifting a membership.
He has his position. It's grounded in this history of the socialist traditions in these other countries, in these various countries. I can't refute that. He's not going to be convinced by me. So you want to have a fucking struggle session every 2 seconds about you should be a communism.
I don't think there'd be a debate on him all the time. I think if you think that there are reasons why he's a socialist that have
you don't give a shit about this, dude. You don't really give a shit about this. You don't.
I don't like it when Pisco accuses people of not caring about this stuff. He did this to me, and I told him no, I obviously care. Ryan Cougars says, Connor, can you blame them for stepping away until the heat is off? No, but I do think they're a little weak-spined because of it. But hey, they're liberals, right? Is there anything that he can do that would make you step away? Yeah, if Stephen is revealed to be an actual rapist or serial killer, then yeah, I'll visit him in prison, but I'm probably not going to be making friendly, collaborative content with him if he's an actual rapist or actual murderer. Listen, I'm just going to be real. There's this purity test thing. Yeah. So I have this buddy. He's probably not watching, but I love him. Matt, okay? And Matt is pretty much a Christian nationalist bordering Nazi, right? He dislikes the Jews. He thinks that they've manipulated all of society. He's a military veteran, so he thinks that we got involved in the Middle Eastern and North African affairs because of Israel. He will be friendly to black people that he meets. He's actually an incredibly polite person. We've hung out with Hispanic people. He was totally nice. We've hung out with black people and he's totally nice. But he believes in segregation. He actually thinks that black people disproportionately are involved in violence and criminality and all that kind of stuff. And he doesn't want them to live in his community. And same thing with Hispanics. He's like, oh, these are marauding barbarians who are slowly destroying our society. But if we walk into a fucking restaurant and there's black people and Hispanic people, he's not doing a Roman salute or spitting in their food or trying to fist fight people. He just goes, yeah, fuck them. I don't want them around me, right? And so overall, in my opinion, that makes Matt a bad guy, right? That's not good morality. That's not good politics. That's not good philosophy. But I met Matt before he kind of radicalized. And I know him to be, I worked with him before we were good friends. And I know that he's selfless. He has done incredibly kind, thoughtful, generous things, not just for me, but also for his family and his friends. He's also a disciplined man. He served overseas. He was in the infantry, and he's probably killed about a dozen people. And I think that's a psychological and physical sacrifice to be an infantryman and a soldier on behalf of your country. And he wasn't really racist when he was killing brown people. He was actually quite anti-racist. He became racist after killing brown people. And so overall, I know there's a good human in there, even though he's kind of a piece of shit in reference to his politics. He's a good human being. He's and in many ways, I think he's like my brother. I love him. I love him as a brother. So if I'm capable of, quote unquote, forgiving all of Matt's dog shit, politics and ideology, if I'm capable of seeing the good human underneath, and if I am capable, I think killing people is actually a really intense thing to do. If I'm capable of looking past the fact that my friend, who I love like a brother, is a bad person politically and ideologically, and he's also killed other human beings, then yeah, I can look past destiny sexting 19-year-olds and sending them gross porn, right? I can look past that. Now, I don't want him to do it again, and I want him to stop being a gooner and a piece of shit, and I want him to be less selfish, but I've also seen Steven be a good person. So no, I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Even if he's revealed to be a serial killer, I'll visit him in prison every now and then, once a year, and say, hey man, I hope you're doing good. And then if, pretty much if he's a serial killer or a rapist, then I'll stop doing collaborative content with him. That's not the line, but you know what I'm saying? I'm being a little hyperbolic. Destiny over the past 10 to 15 years or whatever has naturally incrementally changed where it makes sense and towards the norm. Thank God. Yeah. Yep.
You're not scared of Econoboy. You're not really scared that Econoboy is going to be a fucking, he's going to be the Trojan horse by which.
I am worried about that. I am worried that your use of an ephemeral version of socialism with barely any definition, and Econoboy being a fucking teddy bear on a popular liberal program will popularize social democracy that I disagree with, and it will rehabilitate the word socialism to the point that we will have Marxists running unapologetically in American governance. I am worried about that, and I don't like it, and I will fight it, Pisco.
We enter in a 1,000-year reich of Marxist-Leninism. You're not actually scared about that. I refuse to believe that.
Like the two largest leftist streamers in the fucking world literally did that to me. That's literally my life. That they came into my community.
True. Go off, Steven.
Suck them, and they are the largest streamers on the left now, and they're fucking. Hassan is an avowed ML, and I don't know where the fuck Vosh is on his crazy socialist journey, but that's literally my life. And you're telling me that I don't think this could actually happen? Like, what the fuck is that statement?
I think that you're not concerned of Econoboy becoming one of these figures, are you?
Yes, but I can worry about Econoboy rehabilitating the word socialism and normalizing social democratic policies that I disagree with and infiltrating liberals. Yes, I can worry about Econoboy being a useful idiot for more nefarious characters.
I mean, like,
I don't know if he in particular would. I'm just saying that that's the entry point, and that's how all these motherfuckers work, and they say it openly. They openly.
Okay, we're still bouncing around 300 people, but we are losing some folks. I'm assuming somebody else went live. Like the stream, super chats if you got it, memberships if you got it. We do this every day, Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. I am live on Valor Media Network Monday through Friday. I am live on Counterpoints on Tuesdays. There are a ton of VODs on Counterpoints. So if you're just hanging out because I'm your second or third favorite streamer, fuck you. But you're welcome here. Come hang out. Come hang out tomorrow. Are we going to be doing as hot of drama as this? Probably not. But are we still going to be doing good content? Absolutely.
He's saying.
Oh, I mean,
listen. I don't think. Hold on. I'm not saying that you should kick someone off the show, or you should never do content with the Vanguard or anything like that. I'm just saying that, like, it's so fucking sad. Like, Hutcher's one of the only fucking people I see now in the world who's not like, yeah, I'm a Democrat, but like, oh yeah, it's a massive fucking genocide, and the Dems fucking suck shit, and I wish that Biden wouldn't have been fucking senile, wouldn't have fucking pardoned his fucking son, and I mean, like, I just want there to be like,
but he shouldn't. He shouldn't have. He shouldn't have.
I know that's fine, but I need like one fucking other liberal on the fucking planet, on this platform, anywhere, that's not just constantly, okay, bending over to take it up the ass, okay, from every single other fucking political partisan, okay, just somebody that can actually just stand on business for like liberal politics.
Well, you have Hunter Biden. You have Hunter Biden.
No, if you want to do content with like the Vanguard or other people, that's fine, but you can't be surprised when there's a huge fucking eye roll in the side where it's like, oh, it's these guys who are making the fucking ass rape jokes about fucking Buttigieg. Like, one of the liberals out there doing more like podcast work than anybody else. Okay,
you can't talk about jokes, dude. I know you ain't fucking talking about jokes. I know that your ass ain't talking about jokes. I know that you're not saying, oh, fucking roll eyes because they made bad jokes and jokes that people disagree with.
Fuck that. Is he talking about Hassan? He better not be talking about Hassan. Let's make sure he's not talking about Hassan before I freak the fuck out.
That's the entry point, and that's how all these motherfuckers work, and they say it openly. They openly say it.
Oh, I mean,
listen. I don't think. Hold on. I'm not saying that you should kick someone off the show, or you should never do content with the Vanguard or anything like that. I'm just saying that, like, it's so fucking sad. Like, Hutcher's one of the only fucking people I see now in the world who's not like, yeah, I'm a Democrat, but like, oh yeah, it's a massive fucking genocide, and the Dems fucking suck shit, and I wish that Biden wouldn't have been fucking senile, wouldn't have fucking pardoned his fucking son, and I mean, like, I just want there to be like,
but he shouldn't. He shouldn't have. He shouldn't have.
I know that's fine, but I need like one fucking other.
Boog says, did you see Erudite? Shout out to you. No, but I like Erudite. Erudite's good people.
Liberal on the fucking planet, on this platform, anywhere, that's not just constantly, okay, bending over to take it up the ass, okay, from every single other fucking political partisan, okay, just somebody that can actually just stand on business for like liberal politics.
Well, you have Hunter Biden. You have Hunter Biden.
So
if you're,
I'm just saying, if you want to do content with like the Vanguard or other people, that's fine, but you can't be surprised when there's a huge fucking eye roll in the side where it's like, it's these guys who are making the fucking ass rape jokes about fucking Buttigieg. Like one of the liberals out there doing more like podcast work than anybody else. Okay,
you
fine.
can't
Don't
talk
be
about
surprised
jokes,
there's
dude.
like,
I
pushback
know.
against
God damn it. Did I miss it again?
fuckers work, and they say it openly. They openly say it.
Oh, I mean,
Listen, I don't think. Hold on. I'm not saying that you should kick someone off the show, or you should never do content with the Vanguard or anything like that. I'm just saying that like it's so fucking sad. Like Hunter's one of the only.
God damn it. I missed it again. I'm just gonna skip ahead. I'm just gonna let them expand on it. Let me say what I was gonna say if he was talking about just jokes, bro. Okay. If he's talking about the Vanguard and it's some like Biden's old whatever, I've made those jokes before. I don't give a shit about that. But Frogan baking a fucking 9/11 cake is psychotic shit. The fact that she hasn't gotten like death threats over that shit is crazy. What's up? All right. The fact that she hasn't gotten like fucking constant doxing and death threats over making a 9/11 cake is fucking crazy. I know for a fact that Hassan Piker has gotten death threats and doxed and all that bullshit as a result of the America Deserved 9/11 and the Dan Crenshaw I Brave Mujahideen I fucking joke. And by the way, part of the reason why I don't give a shit that they're getting fucking death threats, even though obviously I don't encourage that kind of behavior whatsoever, is the fact that if you're going to come to the United States of America and you're going to shit on veterans and talk about how they got fucking eye fucked or whatever fighting Brave Mujahideen, yeah, I expect people to get fucking pissed off. If you justify or humorize terrorist attacks that have killed American civilians and you live in the United States as a jihadist apologist, fuck yeah, I expect you to get turbo fucked. And I hope you do. That's like me going to Lebanon. I've made this point before. That's like me moving to Lebanon and becoming a popular streamer in Lebanon and being like, lol, if I make $5,000, I'm going to do a cake that's a diorama of the Sabra and Shatila massacre. I would expect to get fucking killed, let alone deported. That is some antisocial freak fucking bullshit, and nobody should be sweeping for it. That is bad behavior, in my opinion, as bad, if not worse, than Steven's fucking dead conservative kids looking at porn joke, which is still repulsive, by the way. Only thing funny about it is the NordVPN segment. That's the only part that's funny about it.
Okay, bending over to take it up the ass, okay, from every single other fucking political partisan, okay, just somebody that can actually just stand on business for like liberal politics.
Well, you have Hunter Biden. You have Hunter Biden. If you're
Hi, DGG.
I'm just saying, if you want to do content with like the Vanguard or other people, that's fine. But you can't be surprised when there's a huge fucking eye roll in a side where it's like, oh, it's these guys who are making the fucking ass rape jokes about fucking booty.
Oh, there we go. Ass rape jokes. It was sorry for missing it twice. That was Vanguard and also who else was being homophobic? It's the people who hang out with Hassan. I forget who it was, but they were being homophobic in reference to Pete Buttigieg. Chapo Trap House and Vanguard. Sorry that I missed it 3 times.
Judge, like one of the liberals out there doing more like podcast work than anybody else. Okay,
you
fine.
can't talk about jokes, dude. I know you ain't fucking talking about jokes. I know.
You can when these are ostensible progressives and lefties who are doing fucked up shit in reference to Democrats. You can 100% criticize jokes. Now, that being said, do I find it ironic that he's joke policing after his conservative porn NordVPN Texas flood joke? I find it ironic. But if I'm going to police Steven can police jokes. He can be a hypocrite, but he can still police it.
That your ass ain't talking about jokes. I know that you're not saying, oh, fucking roll eyes because they made bad jokes and jokes that people disagree with. I know that it can't be you.
Bad jokes? Wait. What do you mean when I say make bad jokes?
Jokes that people find that are fucking marginal in terms of whether or not they're in good taste, whether or not they're
you think
one
that my
of the isms.
Issue with jokes about Pete Buttigieg is that they're in bad taste?
Yeah, what is your critique about that?
Mike, if you want to make jokes about people getting fucked in
Revy says, are you familiar with Camus the Rebel? I'm not. Tell me about it though.
Yes, make them about Lindsey Graham, not about Pete Buttigieg.
So now so now you care about. Oh wait, so it's not the heteronormative. So because I was in tongue in cheek saying heteronormative, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, soy, Pisco,
It's about who's being attacked. I say jokes about the gay shit, it's not the fact that it's gay shit. It's the fact that it's about our candidates. I mean, you generally probably should make homophobic or whatever, but it's about the fact that it's more about the fact they're attacking our candidates.
Okay,
but
I mean, they don't like Pete Buttigieg. Guess what? If I fucking hate Fetterman. Would you say, like, if I'm pressing about Fetterman, that like I'm bad faith, I'm just attacking our candidates? I know you see people differently than Fetterman, but that's just because that's your view.
Fetterman's not fair. Okay, fuck Fetterman. Okay, but Pete Buttigieg, I feel like, is somebody that we should be like. I feel like every liberal should largely be like in decently large agreement with Pete Buttigieg. Should largely be supportive of the fact that he's one of the only Dems that seems to be brave enough to be running around on doing the podcast.
Because you like him, but if you hated him like fucking Fetterman, you'd be making brain dead jokes, and you wouldn't give a fuck because you think
and if I had fucking. If I had a fucking oven in my stomach, you could bake bread in my tummy. What the fuck do you mean? The whole point is, who do you support?
Okay, listen, I'm okay with Pisco being indignant that Steven is trying to police other people's jokes, but I'm actually with Steven. Like, you can say something's funny. Like, I'll say, I won't say the punchlines, but what's the difference between a Jewish guy and a pizza? Right? What's the difference between a black guy and a pizza? Right? What's the difference between 1,000 dead babies and a Corvette? Now, the whole point of these jokes is that they're pretty fucked up, right? So if I'm not going to finish the punchlines. I expect to read the punchlines in chat in the next 30 minutes. But the whole point of this is, if I was doing that towards a Democratic candidate and I was a political pundit, and I was alienating large segments of my base, and if I was being antagonistic towards tribal elements of my own political party, then I would expect to catch heat from it, and rightfully so, right? Like, what if I said the Jewish joke specifically to Bernie Sanders? What if I said the black joke specifically to Hakeem Jeffries? What if I said the dead baby joke specifically to a woman that I knew had a miscarriage? Like, obviously, the jokes and who you target them at and why are completely relevant to whether or not they're optical.
Support Pete Buttigieg because he's a liberal Democrat. Yeah, no shit. That's the whole point.
Yeah, but they hate Pete Buttigieg because they feel
he's a liberal Democrat. Yes, that's my point. Sorry, I'm sorry. Hold on.
It's fucking insane. And they're far left, more to the left, and they have strong critiques for centrists. But
they hate centrists. They hate Democrats.
But Fetterman is also the candidate. Fetterman is a Democratic candidate. Fetterman is a Democratic incumbent.
In general, I would support Fetterman.
I would. Wait. I would too. Bro. I would too. But that guy is in my metaphoric bullseye. I don't want to be fucking global entry canceled. He's in my bullseye, and I'm going to talk shit about Fetterman and talk about the Laken Riley Act. I'm going to be talking about all his like embarrassing moments and being incredibly brutal through the primary, because that's what the primary process is about. Like, if there's some cringe candidate that I perceive as cringe, I'm going to talk shit.
Any of this. But you're not wanting, you don't hate Fetterman because he's a liberal and you want to replace him with a socialist. You think he's a shitty Democrat. They hate Pete Buttigieg because Pete Buttigieg represents a lot of things.
Have you asked them? I don't know. But they support Tim Walz. They think Tim Walz is based. That's not a socialist.
Tim Walz is like
a
borderline for them.
They like Tim Walz. They like fucking AOC, even though they have the one disagreement there about the whatever funding. But guess what? AOC made that vote before. AOC did that vote years ago. And guess what? They still like her. They'll still vote for her. That's what when you were fucking soying out, I couldn't believe it, right? Like, when we were making the empirical point.
Oh no, this is going to be a problem.
That, this one thing that AOC said, it's not going to really change the lefties' disposition to them over the long run. We were making an empirical point that nothing ever happens. That was just another example of us sweeping and saying,
it is, because if it's bad behavior, you still want to police it. This is the thing that fucking pisses me off about this conversation. Sorry. Something that Steven said that I agree with fundamentally is that you don't skate to where the puck is, you skate to where the puck is going to be. And so just because far lefties are marginal and they're attacking AOC now on this vote, you're right. AOC is probably going to win re-election. You're right. AOC is probably going to be able to run as a senator or for president one day once she's sufficiently salted and vetted. However, do you want to strangle in the crib the psychotic far lefties who did not recognize that AOC voted against a defense spending bill that went after Israel. She voted against the defense spending bill that would have supplied Israel with offensive munitions, but she did not vote for a symbolic virtue signal that would have stripped Israel of its defensive missile capacity. You want to strangle that shit in the crib because you don't want to normalize attacking your own candidate over stupid shit. So I viciously disagree with Pisco here. Fast and Bulbous, $5. Someone should just cut to the chase and ask Pisco how many commie polls does he need to smoke to create his coalition? Well, that's rude.
It doesn't matter. Totally misconstruing it. But the reality is these people, they'll critique fucking their family member if they're running for election. They're purists to the core. But at the end of the day,
to be clear, they absolutely will not critique their socialist candidates. Absolutely fucking not. No way in hell. They love their
they
socialist
just did it.
candidates.
AOC, I thought that your whole point was that she was not.
They don't consider. Dog, I know that you don't believe me when I say this. Okay, fucking talk to fucking whoever in your life does socialism. Socialists do not consider AOC socialist. Okay, nobody that is like on theory and all these people, they will not consider AOC.
You think they consider Tim Walz socialist? And they like Tim Walz?
Not. No.
Yeah, and they like Tim Walz.
Yeah, but do they like Tim Walz or do they think he's socialist? Those are two different questions. True Zealot, $2. Earned with the Turkish Delight Narnia reference. Thanks, King. Appreciate you.
Maybe.
And they like Tim Walz.
I don't know what their position is on Walz. Listen, if you want to do what you want to do, I mean, like, obviously you can do what you want to do, but it's just like it's just another episode. It's another liberal podcast. It's not like, oh, let's go talk to the guys that fucking hate our party just as much as they hate the fucking Republicans, and let's see how we can talk to them in a friendly manner.
With Josiah steering the ship, he will never ever let it be said on that and let people forget that the Democrat is preferable to the Republican. That is his like mantra. Like, do you really not have faith in Josiah to make that point clear? That
I have faith in Josiah, but I think he needs to go down into the trenches. I think he needs to fight alongside Hutch when he thinks Hutch is correct. Otherwise, it naturally feels like a 2 versus 1. The other option is Josiah can stay as the moderator and conversation guider, but I think there needs to be a center-left liberal to help balance out. Because let's face it, Pisco's pretty progressive, bro. He's pretty progressive. And so it seems like more times than not, bear in mind, I've only seen a half dozen episodes of Live and Learn, but it seems like more times than not, him and Econoboy like to pick on Hutch a bit, which, by the way, is funny and it's good content. And watching Hutch fight them is funny. We just want Hutch to have a little bit of backup. That's it. That's all we're saying. That's what I'm saying anyways. Sun Patty says, I said he should get off the internet and hit the gym. What does that have to do with the fail docs? Maybe you should get offline too, bro. Yeah, that's just good advice.
Clear distinction between the Democrat and Republican. You really think that, like, I trust Josiah with that. Josiah would never let me, this.
Hold on, this is important. Make B says, Connor's like actually getting it so much more than everyone else. Bro, I'm the better streamer. I'm the better streamer, man. When it came to that panel, I was the only one making coherent points that were in line with the original line of argumentation, whereas Steven wanted to exclusively talk about the media empire shit, which is a decent reframing, but then Pisco and fucking Econoboy were like, well, we don't have a specific definition of socialism. We're going to ignore what Connor said, and we're just going to keep yapping about how socialism is actually like ooh-woo and cute and not that bad, and we're not doing anything wrong for the next 3 hours. And that was, I swear to God, 2 hours and 30 minutes of the 3 hours is exactly what I just described. I was the only person who came with a like specific definition and a specific prescription of what should be done. And I've been repeating it throughout this stream, by the way, as well.
This entire podcast is premised on the notion that we would be.
I am the best streamer.
Now I know Econoboy came out. That's his truth. He wants to be a socialist. That's power to him. I believe he's still a liberal. I think it's compatible on his vision of what socialism means. I do think it's compatible. I don't think there's a contradiction. But our entire thing was, why don't we get a podcast of people who actually like the Democrats more than Republicans and actually talk them up? That was our whole mantra. And we're like expanding and trying to talk to people and see our point of view. I'm trying to get them to be more based about constitutionalism, liberalism. I'm trying to give them the rundown on law stuff. I'm trying to, but your audience is trying to fuck me over, trying to say that like I'm like a shitty person, that I'm cooked, and it's making it impossible. And I think that you want that to happen. That's my intuition, is that you like that. You like to see, I don't know, sticking the knife in us and watching.
Yeah, it's good content, bro.
The fucking chaos. That's my intuition. You tell me it's wrong.
Have you,
dude? Steven should admit it's right. He's like, yes, I actually love this. This is fire content, because that's the way I feel, bro. I'm saying thank you, Hutch. Thank you, Pisco. Thank you, Josiah. Thank you, Ogreboy. Not only did you kick off a discourse with Hutch getting pissed that the fucking Vanguard boys were saying nonsensical shit, but the whole, let's play footsie with far lefties thing, it started a week's worth of discourse that's been fire content all around. Yeah, like I'm stabbing you rhetorically. One, because I believe that you should be stabbed, but two, because it's good content. You're right.
Seen any of my coverage of any of you guys prior to this engagement?
It was positive. It was positive before my take on the Hassan global entry.
Zito Lita says Counterpoints is racist. He just likes Latinas. No, I'm married to a white blonde woman. I just think Salma Hayek and Catherine Zeta-Jones are beautiful people. I'm married to a white blonde.
Everything, and before what I said about the Ethan Klein lawsuit, which I want to remind the audience, you agreed with me, except for my focus on the Ethan Klein lawsuit didn't seem to matter. The fact that we fundamentally agreed that the lawsuit was strong, that it was the filing was fucking unhinged.
Okay, wait.
And,
so you just said that you feel like I'm doing this out of spite, and then I asked you what happened, and then you just gave me two concrete examples.
I don't know.
A reasonable mind to say, maybe you dramatically disagreed, but it's not like I went off for months and months on these particular things. These are things that I disagree with. But I don't think I developed spite 2 weeks ago. And
why
I
did you block me? Why did you block me?
Okay, this is an interesting thing. I wanna hear about the blocking and the interpersonal dynamics. That's gonna be good. But Sapien Green says U.S. can't do Scandinavian socialism, which, by the way, I'm gonna correct you to social democracy. Population is too spread out. Government is not responsive enough, and that's overlooking all the social problems that undermine it. I don't agree with this at all, by the way. What about government needs to be regionalized in order to administer welfare? You literally need like a social security number and routing and checking accounts. But I don't know what you're talking about, man. Like, we could let's say that you're going on paternity leave, right? But you live in rural Nebraska. If you have an internet connection, how can you not just log into the government website, submit a birth certificate that says, Kylan Brylan Lee James, born 7/31/2025. I'm applying for my paternity leave. Here's the birth certificate to prove that I'm not just fucking off with tax dollars. And then the government can, within 30 days, start sending you a monthly check so you can take 5 months off or 6 months off in order to hang out with your baby. Why does that require a local office? That doesn't make sense to me. Same thing with like the cheap housing or the cheap food. Cheap food comes from subsidies. We already do that, and it's only a few $1 billion. We could probably make food free through subsidization, and we could afford to do so. Now, I don't want to do that because I think it's silly, but we could. Then same thing with housing. It's like the government just needs to incentivize additional building, and they need to prohibit investment firms from buying up all of the stock. That's easy. Why does that require a localized governmental office? That doesn't make sense to me at all.
Because of the... I don't know how much you want to jump in all of it, but the fact that Aaron is just fucking somehow like crept back at everything, that's just wild to me. But I just fucking, for my own brain and my own sanity, I was like, okay, whatever. I like, you know what? People can do their own shit, and I'll just be over here doing my own shit.
Okay.
Oh, well, that wasn't satisfactory at all.
Wild to me, but I just fucking, for my own brain and my own fucking.
No. I want to hear the
why did you block me?
Here we go. Well, that was a very unsatisfying answer.
Did you block me?
Because of the... I don't know how much you want to jump in all of it, but the fact that Aaron is just fucking somehow like crept back at everything, that's just wild to me. But I just fucking, for my own brain and my own sanity, I was like, okay, whatever. I like, you know what? People can do their own shit, and I'll just be over here doing my own shit.
Okay, listen, I'm okay with that answer, but I don't like it. I don't think it actually, if Stephen, Stephen has his own reasons, he conducts himself in his own way. I don't expect him to conduct himself, but I think that this is actually calling for a moment of vulnerability where he could say, we've hung out multiple times in real life. I considered you, like, I know we're not best friends, but I considered us friends. I considered us friends to the point that I was willing to travel to do a collaborative project like with you, a professional project. I believe in you as a creator. I respect your intellect. I think overall you're probably a well-intended person. And when something fucked up happened in my life, you didn't talk to me at all. You didn't get my side of the story. You just dipped out. And even if my side of the story is fucked up, even if I'm an asshole and I did something wrong, I thought that we were close enough that you owed me you don't owe me shit, but I thought that a real friend would have at least checked in with me before dipping out, right? At minimum. And at least now that's what Stephen could have said, and that's what I would have liked it if he said, and maybe I'm projecting my own bullshit onto it. But I think Stephen's entitled to say that. Now, I think that Pisco could come back and say, well, truth be told, we've only hung out in real life 2 or 3 times. I respected your intellect, but that was a bridge too far for me on a personal level. And after that, I couldn't collaborate with you. And then boom, they can shake hands on it, right? Stephen can say, I thought we were friendlier than we ended up being, and I felt like you should have checked in with me before you dipped out. And Pisco can say, well, the truth is we weren't that close, and I respected you prior to that, but it was a bridge too far. Boom. And then they can say, oh, well, sucks that we can't be friends anymore. Have a nice fucking life, right? See you on some collaborative, antagonistic political debate in the future. But I'm the best streamer, and I'm the most emotionally intelligent, so only I am capable of saying these things. Grassroots says, yo, don't make your 5-year-old hold 4 jobs in the military. No. eDreamcast says, kind of wanted to join the military, but it's too late now. Hey, you can get an age waiver. You can get an age waiver for a while. Like, I think the cutoff is 32, but you can get an age waiver into your 40s. So if there's a branch that you want to do, let's say it's like Army, Air Force, whatever, as long as you test high on the ASVAB and you get an age waiver signed, dude, during the War on Terror, we had like 40-year-olds enlisting as E1 privates. It was fucking crazy. Conservative liberalism says you want Finland, mandatory military service, and Nordic-style socialism. Well, again, it's social democracy, guys. If they haven't decommodified basic human needs and workers don't mean the productions, then it's social democracy, not socialism. Stop fucking with me. Can we mandate sword combat? Of course. How else are we going to pilot our power armor into melee combat range and slice and dice aliens with our power swords unless we have sword training?
Okay. Well, final prescriptions. I mean, it's fucking late. So what is the ethical? Let's grant your semantics on socialism. Let's grant everything. And let's just say, what do you think is ethical for us to do?
This is what I would want to see at the end of the day. Okay. If you think that you can cast a net that will encompass some socialists because you're pushing some aspects of liberalism so hard, I think that's fine. Okay. What I would want to see at the end of the day, ideally, is these guys going back to their chats and their chats screaming at them, being like, why the fuck didn't you guys like push harder for how shitty the Dems are? Why didn't you guys push harder? And I get them to admit that like the Dems are the same as the fucking Republicans. That's what I want to see in their chats. Not after they leave your chat, like shitting on like only the liberals left on the podcast be like, oh, like why is this guy such a fucking loser? Like,
my community, my community was mostly DGGers. My community, or there's so much overlap. You want to know, like I don't think it was Discord,
that way before the initial, when you guys did the initial liberal, I didn't watch it. I watched the VOD of that when Hutch was the one who had problems. So I guess you're saying he had problems for no good reason, I guess, was the issue, or?
I think that he had problems with the optics like a lot of other people did. And I can understand why some people that he might feel that way. I don't think that it's based in I think it's based in kind of like how it felt, but I don't think it's based on an objective, like look at what occurred. If that's my take on it. And I think that I wasn't trying to gaslight him. I fucking like Hutch a lot. Hutch is my boy. I'm not trying to betray Hutch. I would never try to throw him under the bus. Like It's just
hold up, but okay, sorry for being like parasocial and weird, but this is where if you have this much loyalty to Hutch, who is a co-host on Live and Learn, and you're like, oh, he's my boy, I would never fuck him over, you know, we do good content together, we disagree sometimes, but realistically, blah blah blah. No, again, I'm not trying to project my own bullshit onto this. Have that same energy with Destiny that you would have had with Hutch, because if you're saying that shit, what happens? And Hutch is a good guy, I don't think this is going to happen, but let's say that Hutch has an identical drama. He was a gooner, he hung out with a bunch of chicks, some of them were crazy, he shot consensual homemade pornography with them, then he sent it, this is all allegedly, by the way, allegedly, but he sent it around, and then eventually it got leaked, and then some of those people were super upset because they did not consent to the homemade pornography being thing. So now imagine that you just said, Hutch is my boy, I'm not trying to fuck him over, I like him, we work together, blah 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 blah. What's your attitude with Hutch? Because I don't think it's like instantaneously drop him like a hot potato, tell him to go fuck himself, and that all your professional shit is off without a direct message. I think that you do a direct message and you say, hey man, like, I love you, and you know, we're friends and shit, but I can't publicly defend this behavior at all. I actually disagree with it with this, and this reason. And so as a result, I think our professional paths have to diverge, right? And so if Pisco sent that message to Steven, you know, he kind of, my point is blown the fuck out. But if he didn't send that message to Steven, I think that's the level of courtesy that should be expected if you guys were going to be working together on the project in New York.
it's not that way. Like offline, we have a very.
And sorry, for those of you who don't know, Steven and Pisco were planning on doing a collaborative professional project in New York.
Amicable relationship. So yeah, it wasn't that at all. And my community is highly critical. Unlike you, I don't fucking delete all the criticism of me in my own Discord and even in my own fucking Reddit. Now that I have a Reddit, like I don't delete that shit. People talk mad fucking shit. And so it's just not the case that like my community is becoming.
I don't even understand what.
Obama takes the words right out of my mouth. They act like socialism becoming mainstream is a joke, but Trump was a joke in 2015, and now he's the God King. Yup.
What?
Never mind. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, my community is not becoming ML. It's not becoming like mass communists. The kind of fears that you're raising is like not true.
Change, Pisco.
I've changed. How have I changed?
No,
Mantis?
your community. Relax. I said your community.
Yeah, but you were talking shit. You know what, Mantis? Do you know what you did? You tweeted at me. I fucking.
Uh-oh.
No,
I know what I did, Pisco. That's why I'm here. And did you get my response?
No, I didn't get a response.
Well, you should look at your fucking tweets, shouldn't you? Because I responded.
I get so many fucking ads and shit. Like, but it's just that's the kind of shit, and it's everywhere, and I do resent it. And so yeah, when I started that debate, I was angry as fuck. But you know, it's because of I feel like it's been a nonstop attack. You know, Dan is talking to Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein is adding me saying I'm not a real lawyer. They're saying I'm no different than Mike.
It's a lot of heat, dude. I'll sympathize with Pisco right here. It's one thing to get attacked by DGG. You know, hi DGG, by the way. It's one thing to get attacked by DGG because you basically have half a dozen people in your DMs like calling you stupid and shit. And that can be stressful, and like people like adding you and replying you and Discord DMs and all that kind of stuff. And you know, whatever, like, you know, you tell them to KYS, you block them, you move on, right? It's a couple of days of horse shit whenever you take a huge L. However, not only did Pisco allegedly take an L in the 4-way panel debate that we did the other day, but they've been talking shit to him for the past 2 weeks. And then Ethan Klein megaphoned it, and then also Hassan Piker megaphoned it. So while it's like a small drama, you know, Pisco is in the eye of the storm, and especially for like a newer streamer, that's extremely stressful. It's fun to comment on things. It's a different thing when you are the thing that's being commented upon by thousands or tens of thousands of people who do not like you. It is uncomfortable. So yeah, JMac says, these guys want to, despite anything otherwise, turn socialism into simply the government doing more stuff, which is vanilla progressivism anyways. Yeah, they actually want they're doing the sarcastic Richard Wolff thing, where Richard Wolff is like, socialism is when the government does stuff. And when the government does a lot of stuff, that's communism. And it's like, fucking kill me, you know? Anyways, I love you.
From PA.
Parasocially. Sorry, I need a shill. Like the stream. Watch the VODs. Super chats if you got them. Memberships if you got them. Thank you for being here. If you're enjoying the content, Monday through Friday, I am live from 9:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. While we are going to fight, and I will piss some of you off, I would be honored if I became one of your streamers of choice. So there's 320 people. That's probably a channel high. Come back tomorrow.
They're saying, I don't know shit about the law. They're saying fucking, so this has been a campaign, at least by Dan Saltman, specifically to smear me, to specifically attack me. You watch him whenever, there's any controversy involving me. You guys talked about me for like 3 or 4 weeks straight, talking shit about my takes there. And so there's a direct causal role in how much I was covering the Ethan Klein and Hassan story based on the unhinged response of someone who lies about me, mischaracterizes me, and I think that you feed into it and you play into it, and I think that you have a causal role as well. I think your audience does too.
I feel like you should watch, and I understand the temptation to, especially when you've got like actual fucking subhuman retards like Queeman feeding you fucking lines and shit in chat or in Discord. You should watch some of the videos sometimes. Like Dan is unhinged. Dan does have an unhinged participation in a lot of this shit. Generally, when Dan is like going in on people, I'm usually telling Dan most of the time, like, bro, this is like kind of unhinged, or this is kind of fucking retarded. I think when you give a retarded take, I'll say it's a retarded take. When you give a good take, I'll say you give a good take. But yeah, there's obviously shit I disagreed with on your hyperfixation on the lawsuit shit. But also, like, you can't pretend that you don't also feed into it too. Like when Hassan comes out and says, like, okay, guys, I lied about my whole timeline, and then your next stream is like 100% vindication, completely.
But you know why that is. But it's not because of the lie there, because it has to do with the timing of the global gentrification. So, and where you agree with me, that's what's so fucking crazy. Like we disagree on the interpretation. I'm and no one can say it's bad faith because I'm in my own Discord having these long legal discussions with members of my own community.
Pisco. As a viewer, just a viewer, okay, so separate from like all the spite-driven like Dan stuff and all that, but just as a viewer of all communities, all of both of yours, Destiny and Pisco, like Pisco, you have to understand how it came across as a viewer of yours, where all of a sudden you've defended Hassan on the plane thing, like, and you really went pretty arrogantly hard on that, like,
and still do.
Yeah, see, look, yeah, your vindication lap, rah.
No, it's still my position.
Okay,
It took me like 40 minutes to catch up with chat. AF Racing knows it. So the joke prompt is, what's the difference between 1,000 dead babies and a Corvette? And the answer, AF Racing says correctly, is I don't have a... Oh, wait. No. I don't have a Corvette in my garage. Right? You did it wrong, actually. That's funny. I don't have 1,000 dead babies in my garage. It's no, I don't have a Corvette in my garage. And the implication is that you're a baby serial killer. That's the joke. Nice.
No, just listen. Then you went after Ethan for the lawsuit thing. You kind of like, you don't want to call it this, but there was a little semi-ganging up on Hutch with like the Vanguard. Then you kind of do talk about Dems sucking more than liberals or moderates would, I think.
What?
And I think you're very clear that you're willing to say that. You just said it in this call that you do think that Dems suck right now. You do think
the leadership.
Here we go. Now, I'm not saying the punchline. Somebody else is. All right. So I said the joke. What's the difference between a black guy and a black guy and a family? What's the difference between a black guy and a pizza? And Aesop, not me, I didn't say this joke. I'm not racist, right? Aesop says, oh, feed a family of 4. Yup.
The way the leadership...
And then no one... Yeah, but the thing...
Now, if I say that in a standalone room and people go, ha, 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 racism's funny, nobody gives a shit. If I said that to Hakeem Jeffries, It's kind of fucked up, right? Just picking like a random successful black guy and saying that his whole race sucks. Yeah, it's kind of fucked up.
You don't understand. Most reasonable people don't actually think you're a socialist or don't actually think that you're like anti-democratic.
Yes, we think we're a useful idiot for socialists. Yes, we've said this 10,000 times now.
Democratic or anti-dem. It just helps. All of this like helps with that like shitty optics narrative. It just all looks bad in sequential order. It just does,
and it looks
like, even
bad
me,
because
I've been annoyed by it.
It looks bad. I think when people don't take it the full context of what I'm saying. Like another example of it was when we were going over the fucking re-education camps, and it was so clear what I was
Steven didn't leave, I think, so we're going to keep watching for a minute.
doing there. It was so clear that what I was dealing with was someone saying explicitly, this says that he's in favor of re-education camps, when it says the direct opposite. When I'm literally saying, give me the best evidence, show me where he's saying Marxist-Leninist, where it is, like, because it could be the case that other things inform this conclusion, notwithstanding the fact that I'm making specific carve-outs and saying, I'm only talking about the four, can we agree this doesn't literally say this? Notwithstanding that fact.
Xena says, which channel is this? So I stream Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. on Valor Media Network, but on Tuesdays, I'm live on Counterpoints. The channel that we're currently watching is Pisco's Hour. He did a call-in stream last night, and Stephen Bennell II, a.k.a. Destiny, a.k.a. one of the largest liberal streamers on the planet, called in so they could hash out beef between liberals fighting leftists and where the Democratic Party should go, and whether or not Pisco is being a useful idiot for far left people.
I'm saying the fact the moment that people provided clips to me that say that where he says I'm a Marxist-Leninist, I said yes, Marxist-Leninist, happy to grant it. When I specifically asked for it, I have 100-long comment threads saying, you know, look at him. He's a tanky Paul. And you too, Mantis. You said that as well, based on that specific stream.
Can I tell you why after that conversation in particular, I was like, oh, holy shit. And you can say it's stupid if you want to say it's stupid, but like, because those of us who have watched a ton of Hassan's bullshit, you were taking his words literally.
Haraquin says, well, Destiny's not streaming, to be honest, lol. Okay, whatever. I'll take it.
Like, oh, he didn't literally say this. He didn't literally say that. It just comes across super autistic when you can't take someone in there.
Well, maybe I'm a little autistic.
Devious in their actions and devious and puts masks on and takes them off. We already had this conversation, and you kind of agreed with me that he does do that. So if you're capable of understanding that he does do this thing, but then when you get into a conversation with someone who's providing you with all the best evidence they can because he's a sneaky motherfucker, and then you say, oh, well, but literally he's not really saying this thing, I think you're kind of being a little obtuse.
No,
right?
but I'm just trying to understand and clarify the term, because I am a little bit like I am on this linearization kick, because I do think it's helpful to how it reflects how I think, and that's just how I approach these issues, because that's who I am. But I have no problem acknowledging, as I've often done, that there's a broader context here. But even just put that aside, man. Like,
Pisco's doing a good thing right now, which is he's holding on to the truth as he perceives it. And that is something that a lot of streamers lose as they get bigger and bigger. So I would encourage him, like, when you're in the middle of the storm, you just have to hold on to the truth like a fucking life raft. So even if you're dead wrong and everybody hates you and all of that bullshit, you just need to articulate what you believe as accurately as you possibly can. And so if Pisco genuinely feels that he has not been a useful idiot for socialists, I can disagree and think he needs to modify his behavior, but the storm will subside, right? It will subside. Andy B says, dog, a homogenous Swedish society could make communism unironically work. Our society is so dramatically different than theirs. I don't know. There's something, somebody said that Scandinavian society, they have something where they're taught not to think of themselves very highly. It's not a very individualist society. They actually had a specific word for it, where you're basically like, Nordic countries emphasize that you are not proud of individual achievements. And if you emphasize individual achievements, you're kind of like a westernized, Americanized cultural freak, which I think is weird. But I don't think it's impossible. I do think Scandinavians and Germans are probably capable of making a moneyless, stateless class of society. They might be able to technocratically advance themselves to that stage and still maintain a coherent society. I don't think Americans or the vast majority of the world are capable of doing that. So, and I also think that there are probably like a few genocides along the way. Whoops.
This whole thing just leaves a bad taste in my mouth, and so many assumptions I've never seen. I'm not saying other people don't get it, but yeah, and I'm not trying to like play victim. I'm just
holy shit, I love Shy Ronnie.
Trying to get you like in my head, paint you a picture like why I'm pissed as fuck going into that conversation, and I think it's reasonable. I think that there's lies being told. I think that there's malice, and I think it's unfortunate. And now the prescription is like,
did Steven leave? There's only a few minutes left, so it's not that big of a deal. But I didn't hear him disconnect or them say goodbye.
I don't even know what it is.
Well, here, hold on. I'm curious. Okay.
Ah, there he is. There he is.
Hold on, before I go to bed. What do you think I'm like acting in malice for? What's like your top one or two things you're like, there's no way you could legitimately believe this thing?
If I had to guess, he thinks he's being punished for leaving orbit. That would be my guess.
I think that there's no way that you could think that specific point when we're talking about, just example from our conversation, we're talking about Marxist-Leninism, when you must know that I know that Aaron is a communist. You must know that we're like having a conversation.
True. That dunk moment, I know that DGG loved that. For me, that was not that strong of a dunk. It was barely a dunk. The words that were said was, show me that she's a Marxist-Leninist. Show me that she's a revolutionary. And then Aaron said, oh, I'm not just a socialist. I'm a communist, because I think most people are afraid to admit that they're communists. And so she admitted to the end point, right? But she didn't talk about how to get there. Now, there could be other streams where she's like, yeah, fuck it. Let's kill the capitalist class. Let's do a ML party right now. Let's do a Vanguard party right now. Maybe there's clips of her saying that. I have no fucking idea. But if she's an incrementalist, then to me, she's still offensive because I think her end state is kind of stupid. But if she's an incrementalist, she's just as offensive to me as the Econoboy is.
Specifically about these nuances in application.
You acknowledge that this point of contention spawned off from you demanding in the middle of a debate for me to produce video evidence of the belief.
Yeah. No, I'm with Steven here. Pisco doesn't have to agree. I think saying like, show me the clip, show me the clip, show me the clip. It's the most annoying debate bro thing that you can do, where it's like, oh, you want me to stop the debate where we're talking about argumentative perspectives in order to go look for evidence for you? Fuck you. And I've done that a few times where I've been like, okay, we're going to stop debating so I can look for your evidence, just so I could show the other person like, hey, this is a cringe thing to do.
No, that's a lie. No, that's a lie. No, I said specifically, and anyone can just go back and hear it. You just listen to it. I said, tell me the thing she told you. Tell me the thing it is that is. I didn't say specifically bring the clip. And the reason is because you brought up Aaron there, and you brought up Aaron.
Wait. Tell me the thing you told her. How is that not asking? Like, okay, I'm sorry, my bad. You didn't ask me for a video. You asked me for a specific quote. What
am I supposed to? So what do you want me to do in that moment? So in that moment, I had just had a conversation with Aaron on stream where I said, "Are you Marxist-Leninist?" And she said, no, I'm not. And everything I've seen of her, she might have an incoherent theory because all communism leads to Marxist-Leninism. I don't know what it is, but I just had a conversation with her. She's my podcast host. And you say, and not like these good.
Okay. Some people are I'm catching up with the Aaron Straderade segment. Aaron Straderade is a communist that they're talking about right now that Pisco is friends with and started a show with. And so people are saying that Aaron is the other half of the Pixie story, where Pisco disavowed Destiny and moved away from him professionally. But Aaron was a part of that story as well, because she's the person who leaked all the information to President Sunday, who then blew up the story. But that being said, is trying to be friends with three people, because that's the way that I view Aaron's side of the story. She was trying to be Pixie's friend. She was trying to be President Sunday's friend, and she was trying to be Steven's friend all at the same time. But the truth is that they were all at cross paths with their own interests. And so while trying to be friends with all three, she was effectively a bad friend to all three. So is being a bad friend to three separate people and then not intentionally, but accidentally leaking sex details of a drama, you can say it's more hardcore than that, but somebody else's business, leaking somebody else's business, is that the same as having done the original violation? Like, Stephen can feel however he wants to feel. He can be like, hey, isn't that kind of weird? Like, doesn't that kind of mean that you're like taking a side against me? But I would want to hear him articulate that specifically.
Socialists like a Ogreboy, but these bad socialists like Straight Raid. And
yeah, that's what Melody is saying is Pisco got together with an enemy and made a show that leaked all the Pixie stuff to press inside it. Yeah. So in your opinion, I don't know if Pixie and Steven are enemies, but from Steven's perspective or from DGG's perspective, Pisco not only left orbit, he made a show with a potential enemy. I get it. He might not see it that way. I kind of don't see it that way, but I can see how DGG would see it that way.
In that moment, you want me to just sit there and be like, in like what, not defend and be like, wait, you just called her a Marxist-Leninist. I just had a conversation with her. She said she's not a Marxist-Leninist. I know her to be valuing.
You understand that, like, the whole, like, when you can't, like, that's not, you can't, like, you can't ask somebody if they're like a fascist or a Nazi, right?
It's relevant. I know it's not the same thing. It's not like the exact definition isn't self-ID, but someone's ID is relevant but there's a broader amount of evidence that I'm pointing to, like the fact that she identifies as such, the fact that she canvasses for Democrats, which most MLs do not do. Most MLs do not canvass for Democrats. I've talked to her about different fundamental rights like due process and free speech that she cares about, and so
I've heard her talk about that stuff, and in reference to the electoralism, it's because she thinks that electoral apathy amongst the far left, not only does it lead to worse outcomes in society, but it also causes them to totally abandon fighting for social democratic policies and also getting used to trying to appeal to the masses. And so communism and socialism become like a utopian pipe dream. It becomes like the rapture. It's something that's never going to happen. Like it's like evangelical doomsday prophets and priests talking about the rapture. That's the way a lot of leftists and socialists and communists talk about the revolution. And so I think I've heard Erin say that she thinks that's cringe as hell and counterproductive and stupid and harmful.
I'd have no reason to think that she's an ML. I have no reason to think she's an ML. And in that moment, all I'm doing there is when you go after Erin to, I don't know what your purpose was there, maybe to attack me personally, or maybe to attack the fact, like what I'm doing, and
DL says, I feel like Pisco's trying to get into Hassan's orbit, but Hassan's orbit fucking sucks. That's where I don't agree with you. You have to understand, like, there might be people who come over to Pisco because he's enemies, frenemies, I don't know what you want to call it. With Destiny, there might be people who support Pisco because of that, but realistically, having to constantly sweep for Hassan sucks. Denims and Mike from PA and Frogan do it because, in my opinion, they're kind of stupid. But I think Hassan, despite massive viewership and massive financial potential, I feel like he's a ideological albatross. I think he actually drags down himself and his orbiters by being a dumbass.
That moment, I'm just defending her.
Wait. Was it to attack you personally, or did further?
Sorry, one last thing. Harriquin says he was trying to tear him and Dan apart, and Dan has not forgotten it since. Lol. Yeah, Dan, no offense, but I think Dan's a little schizophrenic because Pisco was trying to get Steven to move to New York, and Steven was allegedly a little bit like receptive to it. And Dan was like, don't you break me up with my boyfriend. And then he freaked the fuck out. Oh, that's cute. That is cute.
The point of, like, I feel like this whole project is like orienting in a very weird direction.
I'm not sure which is this. I don't know which it is.
Well, you can't. If I were to start co-hosting with Myron Gaines and you attack me for that, what I think? Wow, I think Pisco's just jealous.
What a comparison! What a fucking comparison! Do you really think that Myron Gaines is comparable to Erin?
Ideologically, maybe. I don't think it's as big of a bad of a comparison as you would like.
I think Myron Gaines is a little bit more radical, but Erin is incredibly radical. Yes, she's extremely.
For sure.
Extremely radical. That, like, this is like a running joke in my community for years. Her whole entry point into my stream was debating me as like the radical college student. Yeah.
Even on the same level. I mean, what are we talking about?
Yes, yes, dude. Yes, dude. If you do, so I don't know what Erin does in reference to apologia for anti-imperial states like Russia and China. I don't know I don't know her perspectives on Ukraine. I don't know her perspectives. I know her perspectives on Israel are super fucking hardcore. I know it's like, fuck the Israeli state. It deserves to evaporate. They're a bunch of genocidal fucking freaks. I know that Lycan and her actually probably very strongly dislike the state of Israel. And that's a fucking understatement, right? So yeah, I think Erin can probably be quite hardcore. Whether or not she's hiding her power level, no fucking idea. But yeah, she can be quite radical when she wants to be.
Easy. Myron Gaines is a freak, an anti-Semitic freak.
Yes, you have to understand, Pisco. I'm not joking. I view right-wing fascist apologia the same way that I view socialism. I genuinely do. That might be alarming to some people who are like, no, socialism is just ooh-woo Scandinavian social democracy. Ooh-woo? No, it's not. It's tanky apologia. It's anti-Americanism. It's anti-capitalism. Fuck that.
Who the fuck cares about the anti-Semitism? Like, Aaron's positions on anti-Semitism are...
You
like,
do, dude. Fucking
true. Also, Aaron wants to dissolve the state of Israel.
That's Dan's whole MO. His whole project is to...
AF Racing says, I don't know what DGG stands for, and at this point, I'm afraid to ask. It's Destiny's community. So GG, I think, stands for good game. And so I think Destiny's website was DGG, so Destiny Good Game, because he started out as a professional StarCraft 2 player, but it kind of evolved to be just a community signifier.
Fire Dan Clancy, and the whole thing is like saying fucking Hassan is going to genocide the Jews. You do.
Okay, again, I don't know if you don't watch my content. That's fine. Okay, like. I know that you've been whispered this by every single fucking person that me and Dan are literally sitting in our alcove planning and scheming all this shit. I don't give a fuck about like 95% of Dan's fucking commitment to taking out Twitch or any other shit that he does. Talk to Dan, talk to Ethan Klein on that shit. I don't give a fuck most of the time for any of that. You can ask my chat, you can watch literally any of these programs.
It feels like he's your attack dog. It feels like he's your attack dog. You have plausible deniability. That's what it feels. I'm just telling you how it feels. I'm telling you how it feels.
No, you're wrong. It doesn't feel like he's my attack dog. You've been told that he's my attack dog. That's what you feel because that's what the people in your chat are telling you, and they cannot produce any clips of that. Because every single fucking time Dan goes in, generally on you guys or anything else, I'm usually saying like, bro, come on, like this is retarded. Like we're not doing the personal attacks. Or like this is fucking weird. Or I don't care about that. Like that's like 95% of the time Dan is like attacking anybody. And even on like the Dan Clancy shit, I'm like, oh boy, more Dan Clancy shit. Like he like is begging me for mod to ban people who are yes honeying him in chat.
Carr says, thoughts on Pisco's ending statement during which Stephen left the other day? I actually don't know. I don't remember it. DJ says, Pisco is a wussy. How does he cry about getting criticized for playing footsie and says Destiny stomps any criticism? The guy who gets swatted daily. We're sensitive. We're sensitive guys, okay? We're all sensitive.
Like, you're going by like what people in chat have told you on this. Like I know it. I know for a fact.
Stop gaslighting me, bro. Stop trying, bro. It's not working.
We think he's unhinged too.
No, you don't. No, you don't. What is this fucking shit?
Bro, the memes in chat are literally always Dan talking about the nothing burger and the fact that like fucking like if I were to show you my DM, like there's like the meme of like Pisco's world is like Dan's DMs with Steven, and it's like okay, today we're gonna fucking call Pisco a fake lawyer, and then tomorrow we're gonna fucking go after Aaron and tomorrow, and like Dan's actual DMs with Destiny is like, please give me mods so I can ban these people. Please give me mods so I can ban these people. Why don't I have mod yet so I can ban these people? Like that's literally fucking all we talk about. And you can watch, and again, for any of these fucking dick suck.
Dan is fucking crazy, and a lot of people think Dan's crazy, especially with that whole thing where he like somebody was talking shit and saying that they were going to steal anything else content and post it to other places so it wasn't paywalled, and Dan tracked them down and texted their wife. That's psycho shit. I'll happily say that to Dan's face. That is psycho shit.
Fucking subhuman piece of shit, whether we're talking about Queeman or Aaron or any of these fucking losers, ask them, give me an actual fucking clip of Destiny like going in personally or being an attack dog or using Dan as an attack dog on these people. It literally never fucking happens. It doesn't.
So why shouldn't you be canceled for? I don't know. Fuck. Well, listen, I gotta go to bed. This is stupid. I guess.
True.
I'm left not knowing. I'm left not knowing what the criticism is. What is this?
Dude, I've said it 10 times and I've said it to your face in our call. Go on lefty streams. Go hang out with socialists. Go hang out with the communists. Go hang out with Hassan. Go hang out with Crystal Ball. Go hang out with Kyle Kalinske. Hang out with the Vanguard. Hang out with Econoboy. I don't give a shit. It's also probably good content for me to criticize. So I actually want you to do those things. But what I want you to do is I want you to familiarize yourself with Marxist socialism and Marxist definitions of communism. And I want you to familiarize yourself with the anti-Western, anti-American, jihadist, and terrorist apologia. And I want you to familiarize yourself with the communist, namely Chinese and Soviet Union and modern Russian apologia. So when you're hanging out with these fucking far left freaks, if they say some crazy shit, you can call them out on in real time and you can get combative about it because you are not the same. That's what I want. I said it before we had the debate. I think I might have said it during the debate. I think I definitely said it to your face yesterday. And I've probably said it 3 or 4 times today. I don't give a fuck if you hang out with far lefties. I absolutely care if you contest them and if you fight them or if you just pretend that you're best fucking friends. 100%. It's actually like a really simple criticism.
Agreement. I started that conversation saying I don't think there's disagreement. I don't think that there's substantive disagreement, and it seems like we're boxing in shadows because it's kind of ill-defined in what.
No, we're not. I articulated it perfectly well. I articulated it perfectly well during the debate as well. Marxist socialism is decommodification of basic human needs and workers owning the means of production. And then Marxist communism is a moneyless, stateless, classless society that is often achieved through revolutionary means. Then my wife just opened the door on my dog. Then, if you want to turn it into a broader sense, socialism is an antagonistic movement in order to emancipate the working class from the oppression of modernity. And then communism is, again, just like all of public goods are held in common. So there's the specific definition and the loose definition. So if you're going to hang out with people, know those definitions. And if you disagree with them, fight them. That's it. Very fucking simple. And I'll use vulgar language. Do not be a useful cocksleeve for these people. They are nefarious.
Way that Vanguard call didn't go that way, like the right way. It's kind of ill-defined. It's just maybe my association and the timing of when
the topic of the show is like, do we appeal to like the left? Or I'm sorry, do we appeal to socialists? And some of the conversation with Hutch, although
no, I don't. If there's a social democratic policy that I think is good, I'll talk about it. If the social democratic policy sucks, then I'll criticize it. That's as far as I go with socialists and communists.
It goes back and forth a little bit. It's harder to track. Was like, should the Democratic Party be trying to appeal to socialists? And then when you say social,
oh, is Hutch here? I didn't see Hutch. I'm like 40 minutes behind. Somebody said, "Oh, hey, Hutch." I don't know if you're talking to Hutch in the chat or if you're trying to just say like I'm Hutch's clone.
List. I guess it depends what you mean by socialist, and if what you mean by socialist. Not even just that,
but even if we all agree,
I just gave you 2 perfect definitions.
Even if I grant that AOC and Bernie and Econoboy are socialists, right? It's like saying like, do you think that our movement should be full of like criminals? And it's like, well, I don't know. And you're like, well, it wasn't
true. I do conceptualize it the same way. It's like, hey, do you want a party filled with rapists? And it's like, well, I don't mind if the rapists vote for my candidate, but I don't want to be friends with the rapists, and I don't want to appeal to the rapists. I know that might be extreme for a few socialists in chat or whatever, but no offense, but, you know, sorry.
MLK technically a criminal because he got arrested? Like, okay, sure, but clearly that's not what we're talking about. That's the issue, is just like the broad appeal of appealing to socialists by appealing to socialist values, rather than just like pushing hard on the lib message and not like having another show and another group of people that are like, oh shit, well, look at what happened 12 months later. It's another group of people that got turned to hardcore socialists, and now they're all just shitting on Dems constantly, saying both sides are the same. I don't know if that's the only thing that would bother me. I think it would bother Hutch. I don't hate any of you guys. You know, I think you're an asshole sometimes. I still love everybody. But yeah, that's I just.
Oh, he said he loved him.
I don't know. Listen, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that in 12 months you're.
Oh no, he's tearing up and he's shaking his head no because he feels like he's being emotionally manipulated. Pisco, he might mean it. He might truly mean it. Let me make sure I didn't hallucinate that moment. I need to make sure I didn't hallucinate that.
What the criticism is? What is the disagreement?
Okay, I have to listen to that whole rant because if Steven said, I still love you, buddy, that I know he says that to everybody. That would actually mean something to me. Maybe I'm projecting bullshit into it, but let me hear it again.
I started that conversation saying I don't think there's disagreement. I don't think there's substantive disagreement.
Oh, there is a substantive disagreement. I've articulated for you half a dozen times, Pisco. You can say that it's small, but just because it's small to you doesn't mean it's small to me. It's actually a very big deal to me. If you help normalize these pieces of shit, and then the left wing becomes as psychotic as the right wing, I will blame you and people like you. It is a big deal.
And it seems like we're boxing in shadows because it's kind of ill-defined in what way that Vanguard called in go that way, like the right way. It's kind of ill-defined. It's just maybe my association and the timing of when
the topic of the show is like, do we appeal to like the left? Or I'm sorry, do we appeal to socialists? And some of the conversation with Hutch, although it kind of goes back and forth a little bit, it's hard to track, was like, should the Democratic Party be trying to appeal to socialists? And then when you say socialist,
I guess it depends what you mean by socialist. And if
Hergeberg became a new member, thank you kindly, King.
What you mean by
but not even just that, but even if we all agree, even if I grant that AOC and Bernie and Econoboy are socialists, right? It's like saying, like, do you think that our movement should be full of like criminals? And it's like, well, I don't know. And you're like, well, wasn't MLK technically a criminal because he got arrested? Like, okay, sure, but clearly that's not what we're talking about. That's the issue, is just like the broad appeal.
True.
Of appealing to socialists by appealing to socialist values, rather than just like pushing hard on the lib message and not like having another show and another group of people that are like, oh shit, well, look at what happened 12 months later. It's another group of people that got turned to hardcore socialists, and now they're all just shitting on Dems constantly, saying both sides are the same. I don't know if that's the only thing that would bother me. I think it would bother Hutch. I don't hate any.
Oh, that's almost as bad. Vanderberger says in that same stream with that same clip, she says that she's a Noam Chomsky type incrementalist and that she opposes Marxist-Leninism. Being a Noam Chomsky type, that makes me want to smash my own brains out with a fucking hammer. Oh, I'm a peaceful communist, but also Pol Pot wasn't as bad as you thought he was. Awesome. Thanks.
You guys, I think you're an asshole sometimes. I still love you, buddy. But yeah.
See? He said it. I didn't hallucinate. He said, I still love you guys. I still love you, buddy. Steven might be a little bit of a lizard sometimes. He might have the sociopath on-off switch where if you become his enemy, then he no longer feels empathy for you and he hopes that you get fucking ass cancer and die. But I think to his friends, I think he tries to be kind. He might be an emotionally... I'm trying to think about this. He might be like an emotionally callous, bombastic, egotistical person. But I think these are the flashes. Now maybe I'm imagining them. Maybe Steven is just like a raw, nihilistic, charismatic, psychopathic manipulator. However, I think that most humans, I don't think Steven was born a psychopath. I think his fucked up childhood probably fucked him up a little bit. And I think he found that being sociopathic helped him out. It helped him out in his career, right? It makes him one of the most entertaining, one of the most funny streamers on the fucking planet. But I see these like flashes of humanity within Steven, and I hope they're genuine. I hope they're real. I hope that when we're expressing fraternal love, I hope that's true. And I hope that this flash of fraternal love expressed to an enemy, I hope it's real. I hope it's real. I hope he does respect Pisco. I hope when he says, I love you, or I hope he says that I respect you and I think that you could be a good creator, I hope there's a correlated emotional thing going on in his chest. I hope that's true.
I don't know. Listen, I hope I'm wrong. I hope they do 12 months here.
See, and listen, Pisco can deny it, and maybe he's shaking his nose because he feels like he's just being manipulated, or shaking his face just because he thinks he's being manipulated. But I hope that does hit him a little bit hard, where he's like, shit, like I used to be friends with this guy. He did something super shitty that I think is fucked up. He hasn't owned it. I think he's kind of an asshole, blah, 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 blah. But, this guy's at least trying to reach out. I hope that fucks with him a little bit.
On my fucking stream's grave, and all these socialists are out like supporting the Dems, even if all their primary people don't fucking win. That would be great and amazing, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I think it's gonna go the exact.
Yeah, not only do I not think it's gonna happen, I think we're actually being counterproductive to that end.
opposite way. And yeah. And even when you bring up examples of me talking to other radical people, like, oh, didn't you talk to the Daily Wire people? Like, and I think you've even better much better said this. I fucking hate those conversations now. I think I was way too nice to those, and I regret the conversation I had with Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson and Candace Owens, and even those were combative.
I disagree with Stephen, but that's okay.
In ways that, like, I don't think you guys were with the Vanguard. Not to say you dick suck them or anything, but
Okay.
yeah, that's my broad perspective. But I hope I'm wrong, and yeah,
Bye.
Oh, damn, that was cold, man. That was cold.
All right, we're done.
Broseph says he loves you, and you say bye, and you kick him out. Damn, man. Damn. Damn. Oh, that is brutal. That is brutal. All right. Well, we got 340 people. Thank you for dropping by. I parasocially love you. We are about to hit 5 hours, so we're probably wrapping up stream. Like the stream, engage in the chat. There's lots of funny, interesting, cool people in there. If you have a super chat burning a hole in your pocket, please donate. I love money. Become a YouTube member and come tomorrow. I know that this is the hot drama. I know that we're peaking out numbers-wise because it's hot drama. I realize Steven isn't live right now, so I am your current DGG waiting room. However, I would like to be one of your streamers of choice. So if you had a good time, if you liked my commentary, if you enjoyed my dumbass fucking jokes, if you thought some of my insights were worthwhile, I invite you to come tomorrow. 9:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am live on Valor Media Network, which you are currently watching me on. VALOR, Media Common Spelling Network Common Spelling. Tell your friends about it. And then also on Tuesdays, because Monday through Friday, right? On Tuesdays, I'm live on my own channel. But anyways, I parasocially love you. Mwah. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for dropping by. Go watch Hutch. Bye for now.